is. All right, y'all. I'm live everywhere now. I'm live on my Facebook. I am live on Twitch. I am live on both my YouTube channels. What's going on, y'all? Y'all see the topic of discussion? This is one of those Ask Me Anything lives. Um, if you ever been through before, you already know how I do my lives. Usually, I do not talk to the viewers. Hey, Dr. Joe, what's good? What's up, Dr. Joe? Usually, I do not talk to the comments. This is one of the few lives where I actually will talk to the comments. And if you want to come up as a guest, you can come up as a guest. This one of those ask me anythings. Yeah, I mean, I can we can run little debates if we like, but this is more of those. Y'all get to know me. I'll talk to y'all, and we kind of talk for a little bit. If you want to know like how I reach my positions, things like that. Hey, appreciate that, Dr. Joe. All right. How's it
Hey,
going?
Volsi,
Exquisite. How's it going?
I'm good. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah, yeah, sure. What's up?
Okay, so I'm single and I am looking to get into my first real relationship.
Hmm.
Now, I'm wondering how do you go about that? Is it something that naturally happens when you're just happen to be in the same environment and you connect with someone over a period of time, or is it one of those things where I could just like, I don't know. Um,
First, let me ask you this. How old are you? Are you like over 18?
I'm 35.
35, and you now looking to get into your first real relationship?
Yeah, I am now settled. I am now comfortable where I'm at,
Hmm.
and I'm ready to get going
Gotcha. Now, have you had relationships in the past, or this is your first serious one?
with my hand. But no, this is my first serious one. I'm just kidding.
That'll be like your first serious one. All right. I would say before you would get into a relationship, do you have a good understanding of who you are yet and what you want out of life?
Yes, I am just an easygoing, chill guy, live and let live, live and let live kind of Christian guy,
Hmm.
and you know, I'm just chill. I'm just taking it easy.
Gotcha. And
I
how serious do you take your faith?
I take it very seriously.
Very seriously? Okay. If that's the case, like, do you have like I would say, do you have like a home church?
I don't. Do you think I should start going to church?
If you take your faith very, very seriously, then yeah, I would say start going to church because, like, if you try to get with someone who's like on my side of the religious belief file, it may not work out well. You know what I mean? So that's not to say that you can't get with a woman who's an atheist. You probably can. But I would encourage to get with someone who aligns more with your worldview. Now, if you are like, I met Christian leftists before, Christians who are to the left of the political spectrum, them and people who are non-believers, they tend to get along because their worldview matches up. But if you're more moderate, if you're more conservative, and you're a Christian, I would suggest trying to find someone like at the church, someone within your community, um, things like
Okay.
that. You feel what I'm saying? That's what I would suggest. If you're going to be actually be looking for a serious relationship, but also if you're looking to like to marry and things like that, always make sure that you want your P's and Q's as well. Like, are you going to be able to see yourself with someone for a long time and get a good grounding of, like I said, who you are as a person, your values, your beliefs, and how do you think you should treat a woman, and how that you think that woman should treat you. That's if you're into women. You like women, or you
Yes.
like, okay, yeah. So if you how you want a woman to treat you and how you want to treat women. Now, if this is gonna be your first serious relationship and you're in your 30s, you're kind of behind the curve. I'm not gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna hold that from you, but that doesn't mean that nothing you do won't work out. You see what I'm saying? But it will be a learning curve, because
Okay.
one thing I've always said is that the person that you are at 25 is never the person you are at 35, and now at your 35, the person you are at 45 may be different from 35. You know what I mean? We never stop growing. You feel me?
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm gonna try going to a. It's been years since I've been to a church, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
be honest with you. I think I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna try visiting a couple and just I get back into the groove of that. You know what I mean? Make some friends, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yo,
sure.
can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, man.
Hey, so exquisite, are you trolling or are you being serious?
Ah,
Oh,
he
he
left.
left.
He left.
Damn, I
Never.
was gonna say like like the foundation to a good relationship is physical attraction, and like you need initial physical attraction. So I would definitely recommend like improving your testosterone by going to the gym
Mm-hmm.
and looking the part, because women naturally want a masculine role model. They want to feel protected. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's imperative that men go to the gym and they look the part.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier to find a woman if you're in a good physical shape. So if he's gone, he's gone. But
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, physical attraction does matter. I would say there like physical attraction matters, right? But I would say that not everyone looks for the same type of physique. Now, I would agree with you because of the society that we live in. Most women, most women, like at least heterosexual women, don't necessarily like men who are sloppy. You feel me? But like I've met bigger guys. Like as long as they smell nice and they take care of themselves, they're well put together. Like yeah, they'll get more women. You know what I mean? So it's and I don't like to put it that way of getting women, but it's it is what it is.
no,
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. Fresh. You had a question for me?
no, not really. I'm just chilling. So
Just
yeah,
chill.
my girlfriend's about to get here. I just wanted to hop in real quick because that guy was, he
Mm.
had a question. So
Yeah,
yeah,
not a
man.
problem. But yeah, I would suggest that like going to the gym and getting in shape is not bad advice. I'm not saying that you're wrong. What I mean, it's not bad advice. Is yeah, Kay, I see you. I'm just doing to ask me anything right now. Yeah, it's not bad advice. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I would just say don't make it your whole personality. You know what I mean? Make sure you're always reading. You know what I mean? Even if things are from the opposite of what you believe. You feel me? Like I've read Tom Sowell. I disagree with them, but I've read them. So like always read. Keep up your mental. Going to the gym is not a bad, it's not bad advice. I would just say don't make it your whole personality. You feel me, Fresh?
100%, dude. All right, bro. Take care.
Not a problem. All right, Koopies, how's it going? You asked me, you want to ask me what's a Pan Africanist?
Yep.
Yeah, Pan Africanism, what it really is, it's basically an ideology that developed after colonial, well, a little bit before colonialism, but around the time of colonialism, that people of African descent should unite under one umbrella of decolonization and having the same ideology of having independence away from Western controlled powers and for political and social economic autonomy. That doesn't mean that we all are exactly the same culture, but that does mean that we desire independence away from the Western paradigm. Make sense?
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I was confused. I thought it was like a region, like Central African.
Oh no, no, it's not. It's not any of that. It's an ideology.
All right, my bad. Thank you.
All good. All right, y'all. I appreciate you all being up here. Oh wait, Koopies, you had any other question?
Nope,
All right, cool.
not really. I'm trying to. Thank you.
Not a problem. All right, y'all. I appreciate you all being up here. Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's good over on YouTube? I see all y'all there. What's going on YouTube? I see all y'all there. I see y'all in the YouTube comments. If you're over on my Facebook, I see you there as well. Let's see. Psalms 531. Yeah, I read Psalm 531 already. You can come on up if you want to, Xavier. Central Africa. Lossie, how do you feel about TikTok not being banned? Pretty good, as a matter of fact, because I actually like TikTok. All right, Lee Hodge, is that your name?
Yes, sir. Sir, from what I've read in history, I'm not that well educated. Didn't the Middle Eastern people invade North Africa and conquer and push the real people, the black Africans, down into Central Africa? That's what I believe, but some people deny it and say that those Middle Eastern type people were always there. But from what I read, they were not. North Africa was black.
That depends. Well, wow, your background is kind of loud. I got to mute you up real quick. All right. So that really depends. Over in North Africa, we can say because North Africa and the Middle East is not just Arabs. It's Arabs, it's Turkmens, it's Berbers, it's Tuaregs. People in Northern Africa before the Islamic takeover, you can say were probably a little bit more darker skinned. And then there was the Arabs who came in and the Turks who came in, etc. But and the Amazighs, of course, those are always in Northern Africa. The Amazighs were always there. Um, The Amazigs were probably a little lighter skin, but the Tuaregs can go from, and Tuaregs and Berbers, they can go from lighter skin to darker skinned. So what we describe as black today, yeah, that did exist in Northern Africa, and they did have their own like religious tradition before Islam came by. But of course, with the Islamic invasion of Northern Africa, they all just became kind of Arabic speaking peoples. And the skin tone kind of changed a lot, of course, because there was a lot of interbreeding and stuff like that. Interbreeding, for lack of a better term. That's not to say that Arabs are different species of people, but just the interbreeding with Arabs and Berbers and Amazigs and etc. It caused the skin tone to maybe come a little lighter. But you can still see like people who look like me and even more darker toned than me still in Northern Africa, especially the Tuaregs. Does that answer your question? I'm on mute. My bad. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself. My bad.
North Africa, I believe, was completely black, though. I believe that was their land until the Middle Eastern people took it.
Yeah. People who look like me, like black people who would say we're black today, they started to move more down south.
Dominated North Africa. That was their homeland.
Hmm.
Yes, it was wrong. They invaded Africa from the Middle East, stole that land in North Africa.
All right. All right, y'all. So I appreciate you all being here. Someone is calling Mr. Clean over on YouTube. I appreciate that. Mr. Clean was a great guy who went around cleaning houses and making things like look and making like houses smell really really nice. So thanks for calling me Mr. Clean. Hey, Dugold, I appreciate that. I appreciate you setting all the lightning bolts. I appreciate all y'all. Y'all go ahead and keep liking the live and keep sharing it. This is one of those Ask Me Anything lives. Let me change my gift goal real quick. I'm just gonna change my gift goal real quick because I already achieved that other one. All right, y'all. So if y'all have any questions for me on any of these subjects, or if you want to come up as a guest to ask me anything on those subjects, we definitely can. I'm setting up a new goal. Yeah, I see you in the request, K. I was just doing a like a one by one because I'm doing like an Ask Me Anything right now. But I see you in the request. Let's see.
Hello?
What's the updates on the twins? What twins? Hey, how's it going, Max?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm all right, Max. How's it going? You had any questions for me?
Yeah, what is a Pan-African?
Pan-African is someone who has the ideology of essentially of decolonization and a shift away from the Western and European paradigm. Essentially, people of African descent who were colonized, we seek independence, not just on the continent of Africa, but through all the diaspora, put on political, economic, and social independence away from the Western paradigm. That doesn't mean that all African cultures are exactly the same, but that does mean that we hope to achieve decolonization and unity within the sub-Saharan African community. Make sense?
So, like, you're talking about like worldwide or like specifically in Africa?
Oh, we're talking about worldwide. So, like, my parents are from the Caribbean, right? A lot of people in Haiti are still Pan-African. A lot of people would even say that Toussaint, Pétion, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, they were all Pan-African as well because they sought independence for Black people in the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good something to have. Why are you atheist though, man? You don't believe in any god?
No, I don't believe in any gods at all.
Why is that?
None of them have proven themselves to be true, and some of them are apparently not true.
Okay. So, like, what do you think happens when you die?
That's it. The same thing that happened before I was born. I don't exist.
How can you say that? Aren't you conscious right now?
Yes, and then once I die, I won't be conscious anymore, so I won't exist.
So you believe you have no soul?
Yeah, I think we're just all this soulless sacks of meat.
If that's true, then why do we all have unique personalities?
We develop unique personalities through essentially through things like life experience, values, things like that. Um, that doesn't imply a soul to me.
I know what you mean, but like, so you're basically saying your past experiences will determine your future, like the way you act in the future, right?
Yeah, mostly. I think your past experiences, your current experiences, things you interact with, things you believe, things that just convince you is true. All those are basically amalgamate into what your personality would soon be.
So if so, like, let me give you a hypothetical. So if two twins grew up together and had the same experiences all throughout life, they're gonna act exactly the same.
No, they're gonna have different personalities because we all still react differently.
Because of what?
That's just how it works. I guess our consciousness. I can't explain it all the way, but I don't think that implies a soul.
It's an interesting take, man.
Hmm.
Don't you think that's kind of morbid though?
Like what is like after we die? That's it.
Yeah. So you believe you like everything's energy. Like you think your energy is just gonna dissipate or what?
No, the worms eat it.
No, I mean, not like the energy produced by necessarily your body, but like the energy produced by your consciousness.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Well, when it comes to energy, energy is just a property of a system. It's not actually a thing onto itself. It's not some like essence that you can detect. It's just a property of a system. The capacity to work, the capacity to move. Essentially, that's all it really is. It's not like its own thing. You know what I mean? So when we pass away, when we die, like our consciousness is not producing any more energy. That's it.
Okay. So another thing I wanted to ask you. So in the complexities of like the universe and such, you think that just happened to happen and such? Like us being on Earth, it just happened to happen.
Oh no, there's a reason why it happened.
Well, I know, but like no higher power that produced your reality.
Correct. No, I don't think there's any higher power unless we can have any evidence of one. Then I don't believe any higher power, and I don't see any reason why we should believe in any higher power.
Sorry, what'd you say?
No, I don't believe in any higher power, and I don't see any reason why we should, until one actually proves itself.
Oh, and like you'd have to see it to believe it.
We don't even need to see it because I've never seen a black hole, but we can detect them through like mathematics and stuff like that.
All right, I respect it, man. We'll get going now. You
All
have a
right,
good day.
not a problem. I appreciate you being up here, man. All right, y'all. Let's see, DeCarla, you can go ahead and request if you like. We can go and talk about that. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and block DeCarla for being a racist. Cool. All right. So the racist always come out. All right, y'all. I appreciate you all being here and being here and being part of this live and this stream. If you have any questions for me, you can definitely go ahead and come on up. I'm just doing an ask me anything for now. I may, I might, I just might do a debate tonight. We might do atheism tonight. We'll see. All right, Dale, go ahead and come on up for me. Well, I can't request for you to come up, so you'll have to request yourself. Um, Honor asks, you prove there is no God. No, I have not proven that. I don't claim that there isn't one. How do you determine that life and the conditions to support life aren't evidence for God? Uh, because that's a non sequitur. Just because we have life and we have the conditions on our planet to support life does not necessarily mean that there's a supernatural force out there. It doesn't mean that. As far as what we've seen, everything on Earth is a natural process. We haven't detected any supernatural processes. Now, if you're going to claim that there's supernatural processes, you have to show how you determine that. If you're just going to say these things look amazing and they're wonderful, therefore supernatural, that's complete non sequitur. Once again, y'all, I might do a debate tonight. I might run a debate tonight. If I do, I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick reset. I think I'll do an Ask Me Anything for the next few minutes, and then I'll go ahead and run a one-on-one. Shout out to everybody who's watching from the YouTube. I see you to here. I appreciate you being there. I appreciate you being there to here. Always there. Always supporting. What up, Kay? I see Kay still in the comments. Kay, I'm gonna bring you up soon. It's just like I just want to do the Ask Me Anything, and we'll see how long I can run this. And you know, if it runs out, you're gonna ask what question come up. All right. So God is not life, but his eternal life, the air all human sinners breathe, God's holy air. I have no idea what the hell that means, bro. I'm gonna assume that you weren't looking at your phone when you were typing that. So, Honor, I'm gonna ask you to type that again because, like, I have no idea what you mean by that. So, God is not life, but his eternal life, the air all human sinners breathe, God's holy air. Yeah, I'm not understanding what you mean, bro. I'm gonna ask you to type that again. I don't think you were typing. I don't think you were looking at your phone when you typed that up. Type that again for me, please. All right. Socialism won't happen. Socialist revolutions is far beyond the Overton window of Western citizens. I actually don't disagree with that. Because right now, a lot of us, like, you ask someone what socialism means, a lot of them won't understand it. Like, if I were to, right now, people will be good with universal health care, right? But 12 years ago, they would say that's socialism. And that barely scratches the surface of what socialism is. So I actually don't really disagree that a socialist revolution is, like, beyond the Overton window right now. You got to push the Overton window back to see. Okay. No question easily can Google. What's stuck on your live? What is Pan-African? Pan-African is essentially an ideology of independence from the Western paradigms for African people. It developed after colonialism, developed in that frame. And right now we have a version of neocolonialism going on in Africa where most of the resources are not owned by African people themselves. They're owned by, like, European and American companies, essentially. So independence socially, economically, and financially away from the Western paradigm, and self-determination and control for our own, not just on the motherland, but the Caribbean, for Black people in South America, and Black people in North America as well. All right, let's see who we got. We got. There it is. All right, so Hell Knight, I know you're gonna go ahead and come on up.
So, hey, brother, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Sahel Knight? How's it going?
Damn, man, you ain't energetic to have me on the screen. What happened?
No, it's all good. I'm just doing a chill live tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna switch it up in a little bit, but I just want to run this for a while. Then I'm gonna bring other people up. But what's going on, bro?
Well, like I said, I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I'm definitely not pulling that. I just have a different belief on it. You know, you can have any belief you want. Just hear me out. Like, my reasons why. With leftist ideology, why I don't agree with it is that they believe the government should have more power. And we see what's going on with these African countries who have more power with the leaders. Like, you see where I'm coming at that, right?
No, because that's not what leftists believe.
They don't believe in the government should have more power?
No, they believe that
they believe in?
they believe in a government. Excuse me. They believe in government truly by the people, not by corporations, not by electoral college land voting. They believe truly by the people.
And not by politicians, right? Like, politicians not having more power.
Right. Now politicians having more power, but the politicians should be subject to us, not subject to lobbyists, essentially, and whoever is richer.
Okay, I respect that. You feel like people should, like, give me more details on what you exactly want.
What I want is essentially direct democracy, and I want a government that's truly for the people, not government that's sways to the whims of whatever the lobbyists want. If I want if in a perfect world, in my perfect world, the lobbying wouldn't even exist. So the government representatives will work directly for the people, and they would live in the districts that they represent.
Okay, got you. It's like, so what do you mean by the lobbyists? Give me.
Lobbyists like for example, the oil companies, right? They have lobbying companies where they fund a lobbying company, and these lobbyists will go to essentially like give me one second. They would go to essentially they'll go to Congress and they'll tell them that, you know, to not pass certain bills, especially on things on dealing with pollution and climate change, because it messes with their pocket. You know what I'm saying? But like what that happens is that what causes that is that if the government doesn't pass bills or certain regulations, therefore those companies can therefore either pollute or make you know, or put a whole bunch of CO2 out there, which makes like the climate issue worse. You feel what I'm saying? So in my perfect world, that wouldn't exist. You feel me? They will listen to what the people, what us as the people would have to say about these things. Yeah, you feel me? When it comes to environmental safety, you would find that most people actually agree with environmental safety regulations because they make sense, right? But the lobbyists put out there to these, the reason why a lot of it doesn't happen, and you'll always find that corporations are either dumping things into a river or stuff like that, is because like regulators and lobbyists, I mean regulators and politicians will turn a blind eye to it because they're getting kickbacks from these companies. You feel me? Either gifts,
Yeah, exactly.
stuff like that. So like that wouldn't exist in my perfect world. And I've always told people, conservatives from like the rural parts of America and like the real like you know everyday working people who are conservative, they actually agree more with the left than they actually think they do. The reason why they don't vote that way is because the politicians who are most in the lobbyist pocket, meaning the Republicans who are getting most of the money, are telling them that, hey, the Democrats and the left want to make your children gay, which is stupid.
No, they don't want to make them gay. They just be more accepted to it.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't see the problem with that.
Yeah,
I,
see
I,
the problem
I
with
see a
that.
problem with that shit because I wouldn't accept a gay son or daughter.
All right, we're gonna need you to mute real quick live. Sahel, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, because you ain't lying about that part. Like, you know, for example, okay, I will fund your campaign, this company, but once you get into office, you allow me to pour all the waste I want.
Right, exactly. Stuff like that is what we have an issue with. And not only that, it used to happen egregiously like that back in the day. Nowadays, people learn better. They won't let that happen egregiously, but they do happen in other ways, like, you know, contracts for their business and stuff like that. You feel me? So and less regulations on their business practices, essentially. So that's the issue. So what I truly want is a government that's for the people. And most people, if you really ask them, don't really necessarily disagree with any like leftist policy when it comes to like guaranteed housing, college, workplace democracy, stuff like that. A lot of people don't actually disagree with those things.
Yeah, but they disagree with it until it comes out of their pocket. They gotta pay for it. You gotta find a way around that.
No, we don't. We're all paying for it. Like, here's the strange things that I find kind of strange, right? We're supposed to be caring for our fellow Americans, right? If I care for my fellow American, why wouldn't I want guaranteed housing? Make sure that every single American never goes homeless. Why wouldn't I want that?
No, that's dude saying handouts, basically. AP
Well,
sounds.
can I answer that? Because Buddy don't seem like he know what he answering, bro.
Give me a second, live. All right, so yeah, no, Buddy is fine, live. So hell is fine. But like the thing is, I get that people always say handouts, right? Handouts. But it makes better for a society if none of us are, you know, stupid. Like, so that's why we have public education. It makes for a better society if less people are poor, because poverty causes crime. So we have things like poverty alleviation. Make sure that, you know, people don't go hungry. I appreciate the hearts, y'all. Make sure that people don't go hungry, so now we have food stamps. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we have all these things because we don't want our fellow Americans to starve. You feel me? Even if I'm living in Florida, I don't want a kid in Montana starving. You feel me? I think that's fucked up. So, of course, like, I think there should be food stamps. What's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, and when people keep saying handouts, all right, so we take away all the handouts and then people starve. That's better for society? It's not.
Well, I think it's like cruel. You know, it's like children. You don't want to hold their hands forever. You understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I get the entire concern of quote unquote handouts. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna bring you up guys up one at a time. Y'all go ahead and stay in the box. I'm gonna bring you up one at a time. The first one is gonna be Smith. Then I got Garrett. Then I got White Sea Colonizer. I'm gonna bring you guys up one at a time. All right, just give me a few moments.
Oh God, bro, I don't want to hear this dude. His name says enough.
Yeah, I know, but like that's the thing. Like, I get that they might be better ways to. Hey, how's it going? Give me a second. All right, mute up real quick. You're gonna be right after live. So like, I get it, right? I get there's a concern over people abusing the system. I used to work in social services, so yeah, abusing the system is a big thing. You feel what I'm saying? But I'd rather there be a social like safety net for people not to starve or because we've seen what happens in societies where there's no safety net. Like, crime shoots all the way up, and if we don't live in that type of society, let's have a safety net. Make sense?
Yeah, bro. If you're gonna bring this dude up, I'm about to bounce.
No, not a problem. Say hell no. We could definitely talk another time. I appreciate you though.
Bounce, bro.
Oh, who are you talking about? Me?
No, he's not talking about you. He's talking about YT Colonizer. All right, live. How's it going? What question you have for me, bro?
He said, yeah, though.
Give me a second, Smith. It's one at a time. All right. Live. What's good?
Yeah, man. I'm totally down for it. I mean, Trump is doing the best job that any fucking leader has ever done since I've been alive, and I've been alive for 39 years.
Facts.
I'm gonna tell you what. Okay, so let's say
Well, he probably
we
praised
got
him
free
more than he
housing,
praised God.
right? Let's say we have free housing, right? We don't have to pay rent at all. Let's say we also have free health care, right? Which all the communist countries have free housing and free health care. I don't know if you know about that. Okay, cool. All right.
I don't
Tell
know
me how
anywhere in
much
the world
more
where
lazier
anything's
people
free.
are gonna get, because right now we at the total topness of laziness that America has ever been in the history of America. You hear
Facts.
me? We got these people talking about, oh, well, if we deport all the immigrants, who are gonna pick the vegetables and the fruits? That's how lazy this government has got these people. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Trump coming here, man. Well, first thing I'm gonna do is change the name of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. And listen, if he would have said this back when he was president the first time in that so-called insurrection, well, you would have seen me on camera. I would have been right there. You hear me? Because boy, everything he's doing, bro, I fight for that man. That's the president of the
You
United
probably
States.
died for him too, huh?
All right,
hey,
everybody
I'm not
pause.
gonna-
Everybody pause.
Give him
Let's
your
go ahead.
family,
Hold
bro.
on, Smith. Hold on.
I
Smith.
ain't
Give
gonna
me a
die.
second.
I'm gonna kill for them.
Everybody
What's up?
pause. Everybody pause. Chill out. All right,
It's the same
everybody
thing.
chill. Everybody
No, it's
chill.
not.
Pause,
Yeah, it is.
I
everybody.
ain't gonna go.
Hey,
I'm gonna
listen.
send you there first.
I'm going to
You guys are
mute
basically
everyone.
enslaving.
I'm going to mute everyone. All right. So live, talk to me. Don't talk to anyone else. Smith, I apologize. Come back up, Smith. I apologize for that. Come back up. All right. So, live. Let's go ahead and go by this one by one because you're going a mile a minute. First, you're saying that we're in the laziest time in America. We're actually not.
That's right.
Output is
All right.
at an all-time high. Working as
That's
an
a lie.
all-time high. We have production. You want me to prove it?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Give me one
No,
second.
I don't want you to. I don't want
More
you to pull
people
up
on
these,
benefits than there ever has
these
been.
Democrat polls because they always talking about these polls and these
Okay,
these
so
statistics
as
that are
of
bullshit.
as of 2023, manufacturing output is at an all-time high, contributing 2.9 trillion to the GDP. So our production is at an all-time high. So when you say that we're at the laziest time in America,
Yeah, it
what do you
still
mean?
doesn't change the fact.
Mute
that
up,
we have
YT.
more
Mute up.
people
Mute up.
on.
Mute up. Mute up. Mute up. Mute up. All
You're
right. So
wrong,
when you
bro.
say that, mute up. When you say that we're at the laziest time in America, what exactly do you mean by that?
He's right.
Okay,
Hey,
again, one more
YT.
time.
He said we
All
spoiled.
right.
What's the truth?
All right, YT. I'm gonna go ahead and drop you until you know how to mute up. I told you it's one person at a time. All right, Mr. Live. Go ahead. When you say we're at the laziest
right.
time, what exactly do you mean? Like people don't want to work?
Laziest time shit. Yeah, nobody wants to work. Everybody wants.
Alright, what evidence
free
do you have of that?
handouts. They want to be a social
What?
media
Hold on.
creator.
What
Yeah,
evidence do you have of that?
What job do you do?
Hey, YT. I'm in insurance. So what evidence do you have of that?
Dog, that's the laziest job there is. Insurance, bro.
No,
So
it's
you
not.
call people and you get people
No,
to
that's not what I do.
Come on, what do you do?
That's not
What do
what
you
I
do?
do.
What do you do?
I'm not gonna tell you where I work at. The fuck are you talking about?
Nothing. You don't do fucking.
Why would I tell you where I work at live? The hell?
I said, what do you do?
I said I'm in insurance.
And what do you do?
I'm not gonna tell you that.
Exactly, because you don't do a fuck thing.
All right, live. Go ahead and
Yeah, man,
calm down. Go ahead and calm down. Go ahead and take a breather, please. Take a breather. I need you to breathe. All right, Smith, how's it going? Oh, I'm sorry. Your name is Smile. I apologize for that.
What's up, man?
How's it going? How can I help you today?
So, what I'm just trying to like, I was just overhearing what you guys were talking about. What was what was the argument? What was the tension about?
I have no idea what he was trying to do because he's a fan of mine. You know what I mean? He comes over all the time. He came into my last live ranting and raving about Donald Trump, about how much of
You have a glitch in your live, by the way. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it says you have 2 people in here. That's obviously not true.
Yeah, it's a glitch. It's definitely a glitch. The other one is Garrett. I'm trying to bring him
How
up
many people
now.
were on here? It says.
I'm trying to bring someone up right now, but I don't think he's connecting.
But okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, not a problem. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is because Mr. Live comes up here all the time, ranting and raving about Donald Trump and how much he wants to slob him off. So it's
That's weird, man. But there's weird people out here, man. I ain't gonna lie, bro. But what's up with you? What is it that you're saying exactly? You're saying that I can relate to what the other guy was saying a little bit. You know, not everything, obviously. What he was saying. You know, I would say that America, you know, or the West, you know, especially in America, I would say it's like one of the most convenient countries in the world, right?
We are.
Like you got AC everywhere, you know. You got a lot of opportunity. You know, it's capitalist. You know, so it's like better than a lot of other places. You would admit that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you got food stamps, you got Medicaid, you got all these assistance, a lot of these programs, a lot of stuff. You know, America is definitely better than a lot of places. You would admit that, correct?
I mean, yeah, it's more convenient to live here than it would be a third world country that doesn't have social services. Sure.
Well, it's not even about third world country. I would even argue that it's better than living in other Western countries.
No, I don't think it is. We have like for example, like let's say like for example, I got into a car accident. Like a car hit me like last year, right? And I suffered a concussion for that. I needed to go to the hospital, so of course they needed to take me into an ambulance. You know how much the ambulance costs?
Yeah, but do you have to pay for it on site?
No, I don't have to pay for it on site. I gotta pay for it later. But no, but my point is.
But my point is.
Oh wait, smile. Give me a second. My point is that we had to pay for it. In other countries, you don't.
Yeah, nothing free, bro. Nowhere in the world, nothing in the world free. What are you talking about?
It's going to get paid for somehow, some way. But that doesn't mean at the point of service you pay for it. Like
my point is
that means you like for example, when it comes to things like health, that's not something that the citizens pay for. It's already provided for you.
Right. No, I think people should be more grateful for sure. I'm one of those people I'm talking about. So, you know, I think we all need to humble ourselves. You know, that's a good thing. But not to I'm not trying to get political here or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, I don't think relying on the government, you know, is a solution. You know
let me ask you a question. Why is universal health care relying on the government?
I'm speaking in general.
All right, but the thing is, no one says to rely on the government.
So for yourself, you know, you should.
Hold on, wait. Listen. No one says to rely on the government.
Isn't that what you guys are advocating? What was the discussion about then?
He was just ranting and raving, bro. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Then I'm confused.
The thing is, what I was talking about. I got you. What I was talking about. What the live is about. Ask me anything. You can ask me anything and these are the things that I am. I'm an atheist. I'm a leftist. I'm a Pan-African. So when I talked about
what's a Pan-African?
I'll answer that in a second. When I talk about what I would ideally want in society, I would ideally want a society where we have workplace democracy, universal health care, same things like guaranteed housing, and a society and economy that actually works for the people and not just for corporations. So when I say guaranteed housing, that doesn't mean
New World Order,
wait,
right?
hold on, listen. When I say guaranteed housing, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden your mortgage is free. That means that there is no homelessness. We'll try to avoid homelessness as much as we can, which is something that we can do. because there are millions of homes out there sitting completely empty, and we have millions of homeless people. So we can house people. We're just not doing it. So if we had a system of guaranteed housing, we would have no homelessness, which would make mental health issues and drug issues and crime decrease in our country. It's better for us if we guaranteed everyone a home. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden the house is free. That doesn't mean everyone's mortgage goes away. That doesn't mean the rent that I'm paying in my apartment right now completely goes away. But it does mean is that when I go down to the downtown area, there's not a Skid Row there. That's what that means. And and the question that I always ask is, why is that a bad thing?
Well, I'm not, here to discuss that. I was letting you know that it's better than a lot of other places. That's all I was letting you know.
Yeah, we're a first world country. We're better than it's easier and it's better to live here than somewhere that's completely third world. I don't disagree with that. I'd rather live in a country that does not have rolling blackouts. Of course,
you shouldn't rely on people.
Right, but the thing is,
you should work for it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But the thing is, though, no one is saying don't work for anything, and no one is saying don't be independent. What we're all saying is that in a society, as humans, we're a species of social interdependence. We all depend on everybody else. The reason why my lights turn on whenever I go to switch my light switch is because someone else is working to make sure that happens. We all depend on each other. So if we all depend on each other.
You're saying the only reason why your bills are being paid is because someone pay it?
No, that's not what I'm saying. No. I said when I walk into a house and I switch my light on, the reason why that works is because someone else went to work to make sure that happened. So we all depend on each other already.
Yeah,
we're not completely independent.
Have to work. That's what it's called, responsibility, sir.
Right. What I'm saying is that we're not completely independent. We all have to work. You know what I'm saying? But we all have to work, right? But we're
how old are you?
Hold on, wait. Listen. We all have to work, but we're not completely independent of each other. We all depend on one each other, regardless.
I only depend on God. Well, I don't depend on anyone.
When you go, okay, using this internet right now, how are you using it if not someone else?
What?
You're on the internet right now. Are you the one who put in the wires and the GPS for the internet to work?
You talking about the satellites and stuff? No.
Yeah. Did you build that? Did you launch into space? Did you figure out the math on how to do it? Did you do any of that?
The internet is the
it's just a yes or no. Did you do any of that?
That's not a fair comparison.
It is a fair comparison because it proves my point. For you to even use this right now, you depend on somebody else.
I think the internet.
Listen, hold on. Listen to what I'm saying. Smile. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying and connect with me, please. For you to use this right now, someone else had to build it. Listen, hold on, wait, listen, bro. Listen real quickly. For you to use this right now, someone else built it, and you depended on them to know what they're doing.
I know what you're saying.
Okay, cool. So, I got you.
Yeah.
So that means, as a society, we all already depend on one another.
We don't depend on each other. Yeah, we trust each other. We build with each other.
Exactly.
We depend on each other. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that as a society, if we depend on one another, let's make sure. Hold on, wait. Listen. If we're not to pay our, I'm not saying to pay our bills. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just as a society to function, because we depend on one another. Let's make sure that we're all taken care of. And I'm asking, why is that a bad thing? That's what I'm.
You're talking about communism. You're talking about speaking like communism.
I'm not talking about communism, because I'm not even sure communism could work. So I'm not even talking about that.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, but no one is saying that though.
Okay.
Well, there are people who are. There are people who. Right. There are people who do want to.
Like that.
I got you.
Having a conversation with you, bro.
No, it's all good. I got you. It's all good. There are people who will advocate for communism. I'm not one of them because I'm not sure how communism would work. That's all I'm saying.
I see you're an atheist too.
Yes, I am.
And a leftist. What does that even mean?
I'm an atheist because I don't believe in any type of gods.
No, I'm saying a leftist.
A leftist, that means I believe in the things that I just told you.
What, that means you either your left hand? I don't get it.
No, I'm politically left.
If you're an atheist, you get it. No, I'm just playing. You said you're politically left, so that means you're against like freedom of speech and stuff like that.
No, I'm not against freedom of speech. I'm for freedom of speech.
But you support hate speech laws, like enforcing hate speech laws or something.
Like hate speech laws? Hate speech laws?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how hate speech laws would
limiting, or in other words, like limiting free speech, for example. Are you in favor of that?
Free speech is already limited. Like we don't have 100%.
How is it limited in America?
Can you yell fire in a crowded building?
That's
Can you
different.
can
That's
you yell
different.
bomb
That's
in a
not
movie
as
theater?
long as you're not threatening someone. You know,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Not,
That's not threatening.
that's a
That's
crime.
Threatening is a joke.
that's a limit on your
That's
free
actually
speech.
against the law.
Wait,
That's
wait.
actually against the law.
I understand. That's a limit on your free speech.
That's not a limit
Yes, it is.
because that's a crime. No, a
Right,
limit
so
would be
making-
not committing a crime.
Right,
and
right.
Still
So
be violated.
hold
for
on,
that,
no,
for
that's
that.
but that's not what a free.
For an example,
Hold on,
if I
hold-
make, if I
smile.
can I
Let
say
me
something?
let me respond to you real quick, bro. Let me respond.
If
to
I
you.
misgender someone,
Let me respond to you, bro. Let
would
me
I go to
respond you.
jail? Yes or no?
Let me respond to you, bro. Relax. Okay. So what I'm saying is that if there is if there is a law that makes what you say a crime, that is automatically a limit on your speech, 100%. Even I understand what you're saying, that it's not a limit because it's a crime, but it's made a crime that limits what you can say. That's a limit on your speech. So all
Let me
free
just
speech
say
is
something.
hold on, wait. All free speech is already limited. Now you
It's
asked
not.
me, hold on. All speech is limited because you just said threats are not legal. That's a limit on what you can say. Harassment is not legal. That's a limit on what you can say. Libel, slander are not legal. That's a limit on what you can say. So, free
think
speech is.
you're
Hold on,
confused,
wait,
brother,
wait,
against the
hold
law,
on.
but that's another
Smile. Is a law against what you can say a limit on speech?
What is it? Repeat
Is
that.
a law against what you can say a limit on speech?
What is that? I'm not sure what that even means, bro. I'm not sure what you're asking me.
I don't know how to make it any clearer. If there is a law that limits what you can say, isn't that a limit on your speech?
As long as you don't threaten people, yeah.
That's a limit on what you can
No,
say.
I'm saying it's not. It's not a limitation. If it involves you taking someone's rights away or involving,
Hey, smile.
you know, and bridging the peace, which is a
Smile,
crime.
smile,
It's a crime
smile.
to do
Listen,
that.
smile. Walk with me through this.
So me putting a
Hold on,
firearm
smile.
or something like
Smile, Mal. Walk with me
that's
through this,
engaging in violence.
bro. Like I don't know what it is with you. Walk with me through this, bro.
I'm trying to have a conversation. With
I
you.
am
You're
too,
trying to
but
be
you're not actually
no
listening.
reason.
You're not actually engaging. That's what I'm saying. You're not actually engaging.
I'm trying to.
All right. For you to do that, you have to be quiet for a second. Okay.
I'm listening.
All right. So listen to me. If
Was I
I
just muted? What the hell?
didn't mute you.
Okay, go ahead. Go
This
ahead.
is what I'm saying, that you're not engaging. Pay attention to what I'm saying. If you threaten someone, right? We both agree that that's illegal. You can't threaten people.
That's a crime, correct?
That's a crime, right?
Yeah.
If I threaten someone vocally, meaning I'm saying something, they limit
crime
that.
too.
That's a crime, exactly.
Right.
That there's a crime against it, and that means that what I can say is limited. So free speech is
I guess you could say
limited.
your freedom is limited, but that's not.
Your
that's not really
speech is limited.
discrediting that we have freedom of speech. We have
I'm
total
not
freedom
saying
of
we
speech.
don't have freedom of speech. I'm saying that freedom of speech is already limited. We already have.
We don't have any hate speech laws, though.
Okay, fine. We don't have any hate speech law. I get that, but I'm not advocating for hate speech laws.
That's what I said. Do you support that?
Would
As a leftist?
Would I support a hate speech law? I would. Yeah, I would.
Don't you think that's dangerous?
No.
So you think it's okay? Like it's okay to go to jail for misgendering someone?
Misgendering someone is not hate speech.
Well, it is in some country.
Not true. In those countries,
In
you
the
have to be.
UK
In those countries, you have to be harassing someone.
No, just
Yes.
just by misgendering someone, you can be going to jail. in
That's
some
not what
countries.
happens in the UK. You have to actually be harassing them.
I've talked to these people every day.
They're
Come on
lying to
TikTok,
you.
all- They're not.
They're lying to you.
Well, they wish they said they would have it. that we
They
have it
are
very good.
lying to you.
Okay.
If you actually read the UK laws, you don't go to jail just for misgendering someone. You harass them, then you go to jail.
That's because they actually have hate speech laws there. That's what I'm saying. They actually
Yeah.
have a limitation on freedom of speech, unlike the United States. So
Right.
that's what
I
makes
think
the United States different.
I think harassment should be a jailable offense.
Harassment is already illegal here. What are you
Exactly.
talking about?
We just
Yeah.
don't add hate
But
speech to
we're
that.
trying to change that.
Right,
By trying
but we
to
just-
have men going to
what we
women's
just-
bathrooms and all kind of bullshit.
What
like
what
that.
we
Come on now.
what we do is that we don't add hate speech like racial slurs into harassment, and I think they should be.
You're free to do whatever you want. There's consequences for your actions, though. So
Yes.
like I said, you should be able to have the freedom. and people die for that right. So I hope you understand that. You
I-
can't
Yes,
force anyone
yes.
to do
People,
anything.
pe-
Let's be
people,
honest.
people died for the right for someone to call me the N word. But if
No,
I
no,
punch
no.
them in the face and
No,
they
what I'm
die
saying
from
is the
it,
fact
I
that
go
you
to
can say
jail.
whatever you want right now,
Listen
even
to-
against your own government.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
a right that
I-
was fought for.
I
And guess
understand
what?
that. I understand that. I understand that. I'm not for advocating for criticizing the government and you go to jail. I'm not for that. Trump is
saying
for
the fact
that
you
though.
can do that is because, like
Yeah,
you just
we
said
can-
earlier, we all depend on each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
We can
the
do
fact
that.
is, we all living
Mhm.
based on the lives that people work for, their whole life for it. That's what I'm saying. So people fought that for that
All right,
right. we have
smart.
to-
I'm gonna need you to stop going a mile a minute. I'm not advocating for anyone to get arrested or get in trouble for criticizing the government. Trump don't wants that though. He said that before.
I
But,
highly
like,
doubt. Listen, I think
Trump
this
said-
is more about the government.
Hold
It's
on,
more
wait.
about people's feelings.
Smile. This is what I'm saying, but you're going a mile a minute, bro. Like, listen to what I'm actually saying. Let me finish my sentence.
Go
Trump
ahead.
has more than once said that if you burn the American flag, you should go to jail. He's more than once said that.
What's wrong with that?
That's against freedom of speech.
How's that against freedom of speech?
Because like expression, like for the right for you to express yourself is already protected under the First Amendment. If I express myself by burning the American flag, that should not be a jailable offense. Why
Isn't
should
that
that
like
be
a
a jailable?
hazard though? Isn't it like a hazard?
No, it's not.
Or it's not inciting violence on the
No,
country?
it's not.
But I'm saying, are you familiar with treason laws? Every country has that.
No, it's not treason.
You can criticize the government, but to go against it is another thing.
Yeah, burning the American flag is not treason. We're
Betraying
going
the
against
country that
burn.
provide for you
Smile,
and-
smile. Stop going a mile a minute. Burning the
I'm not-
American
I'm just going
flag.
by reality, bro.
Burning the American flag has
You American,
nothing
right?
to do.
You American,
Bro,
correct.
this is what I'm saying about you going a mile a minute. Burning the American flag is not treason.
It can be taken as that, though.
Why?
If you don't, it's basically okay. So what does that mean? What does that mean when you burn the American flag, the country that you live in, representing the country? What does that even mean?
It can mean many things. It can mean passion. It can mean that
Passion to
I
what?
don't want.
What's passion about?
Would you, all right. This is what I'm gonna do, Smile. The next time you interrupt me, I'm gonna drop you. I'm gonna need you to stop that, bro. For real. I'm getting very frustrated. I've given you more leeway than a
saying
lot of.
something that don't
I've
make
given you
sense.
more lead. I've given you more leeway than a lot of people. So I'm needing to chill out and let me actually answer you. All right. So when I say that when you burn the American flag, it can mean plenty of things. It can mean protest against a law you don't like. It could even mean protest against the very, very government that you're under. It can mean protest against any wars that you don't like. It can mean passion for the government. It can mean anything. It could mean that you don't fuck with America. Yeah, sure. I know plenty of people who burn the American flag because they just don't fuck with America. What I'm saying is that is not treason. Treason,
right.
treason towards the United States is turning over state secrets to another country. Burning
I
the American
agree.
flag does not do that. However,
I agree,
so it's
sir.
your freedom of speech. Trump is
I
against
agree.
that.
I
Trump is
agree.
against freedom of speech.
Hold on, let me finish. I agree with the first statement you made before you brought up Trump. So your actions, you're not just by your actions, but your intent. So I think that matters as well. So when you get charged by a crime, you're charged by your intentions as well. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so burning the American flag is not treason.
What I'm saying is that there's a consequence for everything, and there's an action to every action. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm not against criticizing the government and going to jail. I'm not for that.
Well, we already have that privilege. That's a privilege, by the way.
That's not a privilege. That's a right.
I mean, that's a privilege. That's
No,
what
it's a
that
right.
is. I think that's true. Yeah, it's a God-given right that people died for, that people would die for today, including myself. So
Right, but what I'm saying is that that's all besides what hate speech is. That's all besides that.
okay, brother. I think you're confused, man. It's all good though. It's good to meet
I'm
you. I
not.
appreciate you bringing me up.
All right, not a problem. Alrighty. What was that? Austerity? I'm sorry, I can't read your name. Was your name Austin?
Oh yeah, no, it's ostentatious, but it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Not a problem, Austin. I apologize for that. How's it going, man? Did you have a question for me?
Man, no, you good, man. I was wondering. Somebody asked in the chat too. I'm an atheist as well. And I actually been going through for the last like 2 years, kind of distancing myself from my family who's Baptist.
Mhm.
I was wondering, how was that experience for you with your parents being Haitian? Because all the Haitian homies I got, y'all parents be going crazy with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been interesting. It hasn't been as rough as other people that I have met. Um, hold on, right? I just gotta reset my gift goal real quick. Hey, shout out to everyone who's watching me on YouTube. By the way, y'all keep on liking the live here, like the live over on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. All right, yeah. It's been a little. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
Not as rough as other people that I've met, other Haitians that said that how their parents reacted and how rough it was for them. But for me, it hasn't been bad. Now, of course, when I go through things and when I got into my accident like last year, they were like, oh, God is saving my life and stuff like that. So it's like it's one of those things you got to deal with, and they always want to talk to me about it. And I got a new live goal up, by the way, y'all. They always want to talk to me about it and you want me to come back to the church and stuff like that. And I'm always like, nah, I'm good. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Hey, Kay, I do not see you in the request. So I'm going to go ahead and just request you come up for some reason. I don't see you in the request for some reason, Kay. I'm not sure what's going on. Give me a second. Let me see if I can see you. All right, yeah, but yeah, it's one of those things that does happen. So it's like I don't mind it too much. They're not egregious with it. They're not
Yeah.
egregious. They're not all driving me to church. But when I was living at home, my mom was always get up, go to church, go to church. Why you don't go to
Yeah,
church? Yeah, they always was like that. So
If you don't mind me asking, what's your I'm gonna let you get back to your some more callers too, because you got the patience of a saint. Mine, pardon the joke, no pun intended. But what was the impetus for your leaving the church? Like, cause I never really I was Baptist raised in the South, and like I would be in the pews and I didn't believe it most of the time anyway.
yeah,
So you know what I mean? It wasn't a big change for me into adulthood.
yeah. For me, it wasn't a big change to adulthood as well. Like it was all about for me, I think it was questions that never got resolved. And when I finally was able to go to like work for myself, like I had to go get a job, you know what I mean, because I was 19, 20. My parents was like, you're either gonna go to school or go to work, you know what I'm saying? So I got a job in, but the thing is that job gave me a Sunday schedule. So there were days where I couldn't go to church. You feel me? So I would sit with my emotions and sit with my questions that I had in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I should really look for answers for this. And when I started looking for answers, most of the answers was like it's just bullshit. Like for example, how did it take them 40 years to cross the desert when it could literally take you 2 weeks? You know what I mean? I'm like, that was a question for me. How
They
did it
was
take them
lost for 40 years.
Yeah, they were lost for 40 years. Like, come on, bro. Lost for 40 years. You know what I mean? What proof do we have of the Red Sea parting? Like, stuff like that. And I'll
Yeah.
find out that we don't have any, and they couldn't have been lost for 40 years. Moses probably didn't even exist.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's the type of stuff I was finding, and I was like, you know what? This is probably bullshit. So I had to start, dealing with some of those feelings. And it was a long time. And it took me a long time to get to where I am. A very long time, you know what I mean? So I had to sit with my emotions, really, really think about it, really, really think about what I believe, and can I believe something with no evidence that is true?
Yeah.
And uh, and another thing is, do I need to believe this? Like, is it an important part of my life? Do I need it for morals or goals or
Right.
anything like that? Do I need that? And if I don't, there's no point of it. You know what I mean? And that's when I stopped believing it. It took me like 10 years, though. It took me a long time.
Yeah, yeah. See, my thing as a black man is that I started noticing it's into my adulthood. I'm 31 now. I started noticing into my adulthood the purposes that it was created for. You know what I mean? Like spare the rod, spoil the child. You know what I mean? How many of us was abused just off of that one Bible verse?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? How many of us have irreparable damage off of that one sentence, off of just the power of that one phrase? You know what I mean? And there's so many other phrases like that. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you, dog.
Oh, not a problem, man. I appreciate your presentation. You have a good one, all right?
Hey, Saucy.
Hey, how's it going? Okay. Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't see your whenever you started requesting, I didn't see it anymore. I don't know why. But
Yeah,
I
it
got
was.
you.
That's weird. That happened the last time too. But I have a question.
What's up?
I'm like, if you have two Mr. Cleans, how many I'm like, how many washes does it take to get to the center of
Oh man, yeah, I know. I got the. Matter of fact, I just shaved my head the other day, which is kind of funny. Oh man, I just shaved the other day.
I play too much.
Oh man, that's funny. Oh man, I do have one person up here. Monopoly, is that your name?
Yes, it is.
How's it going, Monopoly? You had a question for me?
It's good. Yeah. Do you believe that we're experiencing reality?
Are we experiencing reality? I guess I have no choice but to accept that. Yeah.
Okay. You know, just to clarify, my question was, do you believe that we are experiencing full reality?
Yeah. All evidence shows that.
Monopoly. What do you mean by that though? Because I'm kind of confused.
Oh,
Because
thanks
you're
for
in the
the.
world and you're living and breathing and we're talking. That's reality. So I'm confused on the question.
Yeah. What are you trying to get at? I'm assuming. I'm trying to say actually. What are you trying to get at?
I'm like, are you trying? I'm like, is this about the religious portion? Like, if we're all experiencing reality, we're all experiencing God type ish. Is that what you're trying to get at? Because it's just that the folks who's atheist.
No, host. Thank you for asking the clarifying question. So what I mean by that is because, we know that we are in reality by our senses, right? So we can see, touch, hear, feel. I mean, and taste, and that's how we base our experiences. So like, if you think of something simple as color, and you think of, okay, what color do we see, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can only see what our brains perceive,
Okay.
right? And so with that, um like, just for example, you may believe, okay, I'm sitting in a chair, but the chair's holding me up. In reality, you're like, if you're touching something, you're actually not touching something, because the atoms on that item is pushing against the atoms that you are made out of.
Right. We know this. Okay.
Perfect. And so, and that's based on the science that we are aware of, and and
Well,
and
yes, but science is also always evolving. That's the thing about science. You get new information, theories change, you gain more information. I'm like, and
exactly,
all of
e-
those
e-
different things.
ex- exactly.
But I'm confused of what that has to do with the background.
Yeah,
So if you
I'm a
just
bit confused.
use,
We're trying. Where we getting at, bro? Let's. I'm a little confused.
is this person a mod for you?
She is a mod.
Yes.
Okay, that's why I was continuously being interrupted. And but what I was getting at, if we were just using an ounce of EQ, um, I was going to connect the dots to say we are just now realizing that we're only having an ounce of that reality, right? So to even have the mindset that God, a God, doesn't exist is mind blowing to me.
See, I knew it had to do with the religious portion.
Yeah.
Didn't
Me
I
too.
ask that? Why
Yeah.
don't you just say? Why don't you just?
Just say
Why
it,
don't
bro.
you just
Like
say it
we.
had to do with the religion?
Yeah, we didn't have to go through all that. You should have said that you think I should believe that God exists because reality is so confusing and big. Yeah, I don't think reality or existence implies a God just because it exists. That's basically it. That's how I will answer that. Just because like we were in reality and we experience it, that doesn't imply that a God exists.
Exactly. Like I'm like I
Yeah,
Cause see,
that's all you have to do, bro. You just could have said that.
because mostly I asked specifically, like even in the beginning, I was like, so where were you getting at? I'm like, does this have to do with the religion? Because Volsey said he was an atheist on the top, and he said no. For all of that to get back to religion.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
Actually, I
like,
didn't say no. I didn't say anything to your question because you kept monologuing and then you asked like
no, I
two.
didn't monologue. I asked
Weird
a
and
question.
evasive if you have a god in the first place. Like,
Well, I'm like,
why
well, see, I'm like,
why
plus,
pocket hide your god?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's
yeah, but
that's what
but
that
Volsey, didn't I ask? Am I the only one that heard him be like, no, 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 host? That's not what I was getting at.
yeah.
Didn't he say that?
Yeah,
No.
I thought I heard that. Maybe we misunderstood. Maybe our wires got crossed. But I was But now that you got to the point that you think that I should believe in a God, so me not believing in a God is mind blowing
That's
to
not
you
no
because
no.
of.
That's not even my point either.
All right. So your point is that for me to not believe in a God or say that I don't think a God does exist means that it's kind of mind blowing because we don't have all the knowledge of reality.
That's not it either.
Okay. So what are you saying?
So it's not that you don't believe in God. It's that you don't acknowledge you don't know.
I do acknowledge that I don't know. I don't know if a God exists.
Okay, but by you said earlier that you do not believe in God, right?
I don't believe in one, but that doesn't mean that,
Okay, okay.
that I know that one exists or not. I don't know if one exists. I just don't believe in one.
Right. So that is a belief.
No, it's not.
Just hold on.
No, it's not.
Please,
It's lack
hold
of
on.
belief.
Hold on. A moment though.
Okay, okay.
So-
I'll hold on. I'll be fair. Please tell me how me saying I don't know that a God exists, but I don't believe
That's
in
not
one.
what you said.
Yes, I did.
All
I
right.
very clearly said that. I said I don't know if one exists, but I don't believe in one. Right? Did I not
Okay,
say that
that's-
3 times, y'all?
Okay, you did say it. You
Okay.
did say it. Okay. Now, if you think about if you say I don't believe, right? Let's just say I don't believe the sky is blue.
Mhm.
Right? I don't believe the sky is blue.
Mhm.
And you don't know if the sky is blue.
Mhm.
Okay? Okay. Now, here's another example. Do you believe you have two hands?
Yeah, apparently I do.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for proving my point. So so here's the thing.
All right. So, user, how's it going?
I'm like,
Pretty good, how are you?
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, I
I'm
know.
like, Volsey, did you do that time?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me. Waste of time. Complete waste of time.
You
Yeah.
don't like I'm like, see, because people be getting on me for like,
Yeah.
people be acting like I'm just the ultimate dropper.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
complete
I
waste of
will
time.
give it away, Bolchi. I knew exactly at the moment. Yep.
Yeah, complete waste of time. How's it going? That one.
I'm
I'm
like,
gonna
and
get.
I want to know what the sky has to do with anything because we can verify that the sky is blue. We can't verify the existence of your God.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
irrelevant.
All we gotta do is look at certain light spectrums. All right. So, user,
And I'm
how's
like,
it
and
going?
let's say we could prove a God exists.
Mhm.
Which one?
Good day, real quick. No, you can't clarify that the sky is blue. It's a reflection off of the ocean, Einstein.
All right, straight.
Okay.
Go ahead and pause up for
But
me.
again,
Go ahead and mute up for me.
you know,
Go ahead and mute up for me.
We were born to hope.
Go ahead and mute up for me.
Born to hope.
Go ahead and mute up for me. Mute up for me. Thank you very
born
much.
to hope, not
Mute up
hope.
for me. Mute up for
All
me.
right?
Thank you very
That
much.
was for gods.
All right, mute,
Yeah,
mute,
'cause I'm about to
mute.
drop
Okay, okay.
gods.
Thank you very much.
No,
All right, so
bye. See you later.
all right, so user, how's it going? The person with the dog on the profile, I'm not sure what to call you. I just have the user.
User's fine. Actually, my name is Eric.
Eric, how's it going? Did you have any questions for me?
Well, I just wanted to say, quite like, so I said I would pray for you, and so like, well, I believe there's a God. So I don't really have any questions for you. I would just,
Would you like to understand why I don't believe?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I don't believe is because I have no evidence that is true, and for the major religion that I grew up in, some of it is evidently not true. So if there's no evidence that something is actually true or no reasonable reason for me to believe it, then I don't believe it.
Oh yeah. What? I mean, it's kind of a personal question. So if you choose not to answer it, I understand, and forgive me if it's offensive for me to ask. But what religion did you grow up in?
Oh, I grew up in Christianity. My parents were Haitian Pentecostal.
And
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in Christianity as well, and I was Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist, yeah. Wow. So
Catholic.
Oh,
Black
that one. You were
Southern
Catholic?
Baptist.
Dope.
Oh,
My,
you were Catholic?
Raised that way at least. I never.
Raised that way. I know what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were one of those altar boys that was sneaking away with the communion wine, weren't you? Yeah, I know.
Only the communion ladies. The wine wasn't that interesting.
But my bad, Eric. Go ahead. What you were saying?
Well, I was gonna take a minute and just say that I can tell you in my life I haven't seen Jesus, but I've experienced things that are unexplainable, and explainable only by that. And so you've experienced that, and you've never felt something like that was compelling to you to explain that, and I appreciate that. And so you're just going off your experiences, and your experiences are important to me. Right? I mean, like I respect them.
Gotcha. Well, I only got one, just one slight correction.
Also,
I did.
regardless of our experience, we can't prove the existence of a God, because even if we were to go into it, it would be which one? Because there are thousands of religions. And quite frankly, it could be any one of them. The second thing is, let's say we were to able to hypothetically prove the existence of a God. Okay, I would no longer be atheist, but would that mean I would follow religion? I don't think so.
Right, and I was gonna say this. I'll just one slight correction. That there are times I have experienced things like catching the Holy Ghost and stuff like that, and feeling overwhelming feelings of when I'm in church and I'm around my community and the slow songs played. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to Haitian churches, but we have some of the most depressing funeral songs out there, and they'll make you cry if I played one of them right now. Okay, so it's like they're beautiful songs and they're amazing, right? But and every single time I've gone to a funeral,
Black Americans are just extra.
yeah, exactly. So and every time I've gone to a funeral or a revival, trust me, I see people crying and stuff like that. Even when I was at revivals. It's like even when I was at revivals and they played that soft music, I've cried before and everything. Like I felt it before, but what I've always said is that at that time, yeah, I thought that was only explainable by the presence of God. But now that I know that, how music and emotions work a little bit more, not completely, but I know how emotions work a little bit more, I know that could be explained by simply the environment. Because music can be overwhelming. Music is beautiful, right? Like, I'm not sure what music you grew up on, but I grew up on hip hop and like the early days of emo, like Linkin Park. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Linkin Park is. Park, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Linkin Park is so emotional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I still listen to Linkin Park to get an emotional high sometimes. You feel what I'm saying? So it could all be explained by that. That's not saying that maybe one day I could get proven wrong and that God is real. I could get proven wrong one day, but at the moment right now, since I don't see any evidence for it, that's the reason I don't believe it.
Because when I was growing up in church, I thought that was the Holy Spirit taking over. That's how I would have explained it at the time. But yeah, that's now that we know better. But Volsi, we talk about this all the time. Black people, regardless if I'm African American, you're Haitian, we're just so
extra, bro, extra. We are so extra. But I'm sorry, who's
We do everything extra. We spiritual extra. We sing extra. We dance extra.
Yeah, everything is extra. Everything is super extra. If I ever showed y'all videos of a funeral, that I went to, well, I didn't go to it, but I think one of my uncles recorded it in Haiti. I'm like, oh my goodness, extra, bro. Even the Catholic Church, extra, super.
Volsi, have you ever seen like a Black American church mother touch the Holy Spirit? Is she
oh yeah, doing all this.
Southern Baptist, right. But
that's
now
exactly what it's like.
Yeah, super extra. I'll tell you, Black Church is amazing, y'all. Black Church is amazing.
But you said that
I love being Black.
Oh no,
Well,
I didn't. I
did.
didn't grow up Catholic. That was that one. That one grew up Catholic. My
Yes.
grandmother was actually Catholic, and I've been to one of her. She converted over to Protestant, but I went over to her Catholic church before, and yeah, it was pretty cool. Like beautiful music, beautiful choir music. You know what I mean? But that one can tell you more about like growing up Catholic. That one. Did you have anything?
I grew up Baptist. He grew up Catholic. Vosi grew up Pentecostal.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 different branches of Christianity.
Yeah, 3 different branches.
That's it, right? Well,
Can you-
I'll tell you. You said that Haitian funerals were a little depressing or whatever, and I think I misheard you for a second. You said even the Catholic funerals, maybe back home, you know, or the Catholic Church back home were equally depressing or whatever. You know, I thought that's what you said, but I digress.
No, what I'm sorry.
what's a
Let me
Pan-African?
clarify. Give me 1 second. Let me clarify. When I meant by like depressing, I meant that the music is like very, very overwhelming and sad. You know what I mean? Like the music that they play, especially when you go into the burial. Like even like thinking about the music now, it kind of overwhelms you with sadness. You know what I mean? Because it's a very emotional time. You're saying goodbye to a loved one, et cetera, et cetera. So I didn't mean depressing and it's all subdued. I mean like just very
And
emotional
you
music.
know what's funny? Like there's also
What's
the
a Pan
opposite
African?
effect. There's
Hold on, I'll get to you in a second. Go ahead, Kay.
But there's also
Okay.
like the opposite of that too. Like outside of like the funerals, like when it also can make you like super happy. Like for example, I grew up on like growing up on Kirk Franklin. It's a brand new day.
Mhm.
Fine. That song. Mary Mary and all of that stuff. So like there's also like the super, super happy where you think that you could basically do anything. So like there's like there's always like different versions of
Well, now,
this-
so now,
basically.
now I want to look up Kurt Franklin. Now you're talking about extra, right? Now I'm gonna look that up. Happy stuff too, because that's good vibes right there. but
It's a brand new day is the song.
that's
I
that
think.
sounds like a beautiful song.
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
song.
I'm
Beautiful
gonna
song.
look that up.
All Black Americans grew up on that song.
Yeah. And if
I'm
yeah,
like between that and Mary Mary.
Mary Mary dances off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise.
No,
'em.
there's praise you, praise you.
Right, yeah,
That's a
that
good
one.
voice.
What's the Kurt Franklin song that you're specifically speaking of?
Oh, I like Stomp.
Oh,
Make me clap my hands, make me wanna dance and stomp. I love that one. My brother,
No,
can't
back
you
to the
see?
other
and
voice.
I'm like,
I
and
got
also
the
anything Pamela
victory.
Man.
What's the
anything
other
Pamela
voice?
Man
Go
every
back to
African
that.
American grew up on.
That is so good, but I don't want to
That dude's got a good voice right there.
I don't want to take away too much because he just came in and he had something to say. He asked what Pan African was, but real quick, I wanted to say,
Yeah.
like, Jimmy, just 1 second before that. So it's funny that Haitian funerals in whatever religion were a somber time because my experience of a Catholic funeral, and I'm actually just a Christian, almost non-denominational. Though if I had to say, I guess right now today I would say Baptist, but
But you
but
can't
what
say that because everything's going Catholic.
But well, just give me a second here. What I found for a Catholic funeral was it's like it's not somber. It's a celebration because they're going back home to where they've lived their life to go, and so
Everything's going
I don't
Catholic.
want to take away from your live at all or whatever, but I can just tell you that that I've experienced the same thing when I was younger that you spoke of, and perhaps in your life you've found a way to write that off or whatever, but that probably is the Holy Ghost, and I would just say as a firm believer in Jesus Christ as our Savior that that you may want to just relook at that, but I don't want to take away from your life, and I just really love the fact that I got a couple of really good songs to look up and enjoy, and so intro. I will let you.
What's a
take it over.
Pan African?
Give me a second. Let me know if y'all can hear this. Can y'all hear that? This is actually in Haiti.
Oh my God, we are so extra everywhere. Oh my God.
This is a funeral in Haiti,
What's that
actually.
bitch doing? Look at him. He's twerking.
He's twerking.
Look at him. Get low, motherfucker. Get low. Look at that shit, man.
What a trip.
That's a funeral, actually. You see the casket right there? That's
That's
actually a funeral.
That's bad. You want to work at a funeral?
Trumpets and everything, man. That was like.
I'm like Volsey, dude.
I don't know.
I'm like, show him.
He was twerking at a
the
funeral.
Kirk Franklin song I was showing, that I was talking to you about.
Gotcha.
That's crazy, man. I like that video. That's pretty cool.
They
I've
had
never seen
trumpets
that.
and everything. I'm like, I don't know how depressing that is. Like, I don't know. I know it's sad. No,
yeah,
it's sad. I just lost
at
my mom
the-
in January.
Like,
it's tough.
It would be better with bagpipes or something.
the way it is in Haitian churches, at the church, it's sad. And then like when you go into the burial, that's when we do like the celebration of your life, which is why we have the trumpets and all that playing.
Well, that makes sense.
Ain't that where those 7 churches was in Asia?
Mm-hmm.
The 7 churches in Asia in the King James version of the Bible. Wasn't
I'm
that
actu-
where those churches was?
I'm not sure actually.
So it's like-
It gives New Orleans. I'm just react to this. It gives New Orleans vibes. Yeah. Haiti and New Orleans has a lot of things in common. Yeah.
So someone's doing voodoo. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
they were both colonized by the French.
By the French,
and
exactly.
Then, but
Really?
if we talk about like New Orleans,
Yes.
Specifically
sense.
their Creole population is like a subset of our African American group, along with the Galigi.
Really?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot.
They're African. For some reason, people think that Haitian Creoles and Louisiana Creoles are the same thing. They are absolutely
What's a
not. I don't
Creole?
get where
Is that
that-
like a?
what that-
What's a Creole? I'm sorry.
So Creoles are, Creoles of color, specifically in New Orleans, they are a multi-ethnic, black group that are under the African American ethnicity. There's
Creoles
some
are?
differences between,
Yes.
Creoles typically stems from people who were colonized by the French, which is why in Haiti
Oh.
they have Haitian Creoles and New Orleans territory was originally owned by.
So
the
you're all
French.
talking about wee all the time. Wee.
I'm not sure what you're saying, but like that's where we talk about some Zacharias now, some cooking. Now we can't talk about religion and cooking because.
Hey,
Well,
Eric,
I want to meet some.
I appreciate you, Eric. I'm gonna drop you down real quick. Definitely stay around. All right, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I want to meet some like Sumerians, like some real Sumerian people.
Yeah. All right.
Are they
so
any left?
Okay, so
you asked entropy. My bad. Go ahead.
What's
Kate. What you saying?
Pan African?
Yeah, I'm
I was
answering that right now.
asking what.
Yeah. Okay. So Pan Africanism is essentially it's a movement and an ideology of unity of people of African descent, especially after times of colonialism, and even it still matters today because we have neocolonialism. Basically, it's a ideology of unity and
Neocolonialism.
give me
Sorry,
hold on,
the
Entropy.
neocolonialism is
Hold
the
on,
white
Entropy.
people.
Hold on, Entropy. So, like, basically, what it is, it's an ideology of independence from the Western and colonial paradigm, and solidarity, economically, politically, and socially of African people. That's essentially what it is. And you can unmute yourself.
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to make you mute me, but yeah, okay. So you said a lot right there, really. What is it basically like?
It's basically a Pan African is essentially specifically it's an ideology of uniting people of African descent all over across the globe.
Okay.
That's essentially what the ideology is. Let me just make it.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
I'm
got
like, whether
you.
you're whether you're from the Caribbean, from North America, or the continent, or Latin America, but basically people who have African ancestry. That's basically
I got you.
It's uniting those people.
Well,
from the continent
supposedly
and the African diaspora.
Supposedly I got it in my ancestry,
Dope.
but I'm not a black person.
Well, this is talk about like black people, so people who have at least 50% or more African ancestry.
Right. Well, my bloodline goes back to My bloodline supposedly goes back to Pocahontas. Supposedly, I don't know. And we've got one a black person. I think it's a man, a black male in our family or something other. I don't know, man. I'd like to know my family though, really.
Sure. Like, what have you ever like done like any like genealogy or ancestry or anything like that to see?
No.
No. Okay. Like, are
Mm-mm.
you Also, you don't know if like if you have like Welsh or English or French or anything like that.
German.
Oh, it's
My
mostly
last
German.
name's Kraft. German, yeah. German, I guess. German.
Okay. Yeah, like a lot of So I'm assuming you're white American.
Yeah, I got blue eyes, and supposedly all blue eyes people come from a black male from the Black Sea.
Yeah, a lot
around
of
the Black Sea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of black people with blue eyes. That's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I'm like, because the genetic diversity in black people, like, is actually very wild. It's so funny. Like, a person from Nigeria and a person, let's say, from Sierra Leone, they are genetically very different. Like, as far as
Where's Leon? What do you say, Siri Leon?
Sierra Leone is in Africa. It's both
Oh.
Nigeria and Sierra Leone are in the western parts of Africa.
All right, yeah. Well, I don't really know. I just found this live, and I'd seen the atheist leftist, but what do you got to be a leftist? What's a leftist, really? I know what an atheist is, so I'm not asking.
Leftist. I'm politically left. So I believe
But
in leftist
so you
political
don't,
policies.
so you don't believe in God or whatever?
No, I don't believe in a God, and politically, I'm to the left.
Why don't you believe in God?
Me, I'm independent. I consider myself independent.
Well, can I ask you, sir, why you don't believe in God? Just
I have no evidence that is true, and for at least the religion I grew up in, a lot of it is apparently not true.
what religion was you?
I grew up in Christianity.
Or
I grew up in Pentecostal Christianity.
But you don't believe in God though?
No.
But why though? Did something happen or?
The reason I don't believe in God is because I went through a time of self-reflection to see if I should actually believe it, and when I found out that a lot of it is apparently not true, and I have no evidence that it's true, and it has no utility
Right.
for my life, then I just stopped believing it.
What was it? Self-reflection or was it suffering?
It was self-reflection because I didn't have a bad time in
Right.
church. Church was fine. I didn't have any issues in church.
Well, no, I didn't have
That's
a.
not the reason I'm not That's not the reason I'm an atheist.
Yeah, a lot of people did. Not to
Right,
downplay, not to downplay any trauma anyone had. A lot of people did have a tough time. But me, I kind of won I would say the church lottery because I'm male, I'm straight, and I'm not trans. So I was good. You know what I mean? Like they didn't treat me terribly. Now I had I had a lot of expectations because my father was a pastor. So I had a lot of expectations as
Oh
as a
yeah,
young man,
that's
but
right. You were a PK.
I was a BK, so I had a lot of
So
expectations.
wait, so you don't feel like there's something else inside you that's gonna go somewhere else when you perish?
No, when I die, that's it. That's why I want to make sure that I leave a legacy. I want to make sure I raise my child the best way. If I have multiple children, I want to raise them the best way I can. I want to leave a legacy of positive influence on our society, which is why I want to become a therapist. I want to start a nonprofit organization to help out at-risk youth get through their trauma, and especially people in the third world get through a lot of things that they went through. That's one of my goals.
So you don't feel like you have a soul?
No, I don't have a soul. I'm a just big sack of meat.
A big sack of meat is a crazy explanation.
Should I say pause?
I'm like, that is like.
No, why do you have to
See,
say that?
See, my mind is unclean because my mind should have not went there.
All right, man. I appreciate you for like giving me some like education. I'm gonna get off here though. I appreciate you though.
Not a problem. I appreciate you. All right, y'all.
I've never heard that explanation. A big sack of meat is crazy. Like,
Should I say pause? You already know if someone from New York was up here, they'll be like, "Hey, yo, son, what you mean by that, son?"
That's exactly how New Yorkers.
That's exactly
Oh my
how they
God.
sound. They'll be like, "Hey, yo, son, what you mean?" Oh my goodness, say that one. How's it going, that one?
I've never. I'm like, I occasionally enjoy a sack of me, you know. As a very heterosexual woman.
Yeah, I feel that. All right. Yeah, I'm a
Okay, that was really fun.
What
All
about
right.
you, Jeff? I just came to listen for a little bit. Every once in a while, I want to scream something at one of your guests, but I try to control myself. I've convinced myself I'm like able to be an adult. I might not enjoy it that much, but I work in customer service long enough. But it's just hard when you
Oh,
have
I
to.
hated working in customer service. Oh.
Well, just
Oh, boy.
people like, and I've always I worked in
No,
entertainment.
it was the people. They were rude.
Oh man, I worked in entertainment for 20 years, so you just couldn't avoid them. People are like an integral part of that shit.
Yeah,
I can't
man.
tell you how many. I can't tell you how many. Oh, and I was in customer service in Texas. That's another thing. People are bold with their racism down south, honey.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. Like they're more. The thing that the North is just as problematic. It's just that they're more covert with their stuff. It's more covert. Where I'm like, where I'm working at the front desk, and they just straight up called me the N word, and I cussed them out.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
they
it's bad.
just make more excuses for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a better patter. Like they've like read the handbook a few times.
Yeah.
Like no, like the North is like, I can't be racist. I voted for Obama type fucking.
Yeah, they do that. They do
where-
those type of racist.
Where the South is just basically like, fuck you, you inbred, basically. Like
Yeah.
that's the energy. Like just like I'm like bring back fathers of the Confederacy. I'm like make America white again.
You would be surprised, like, cause what I do in when I'm in insurance, like what I do, I start to talk to customers. You would be surprised how entitled some of them are. Like I should have gotten this much for my claim. You don't give me this much. I'm like, man, that's not part of your policy. Well, it should have been. Like, you should have chose that. Then I don't know what to tell you. You should have chose that. Then like, what you want me to do?
I'm like Laura's. I'm like, hey Bookie. I don't know. I don't know who you are. I don't think, but hey, lovey. Hey, lover.
Oh, bad. All right,
So
y'all.
it's like, hey girl. I'm like, hey Bookie.
Oh yeah, I see it. What's going on, Laura? All right, y'all. I might get off of here soon because, like, I said I was gonna be doing one. It was gonna be early tonight. I might call it a night early because I still got work tomorrow and I still got to do things. I might switch up. Let me see if I switch things up if I get anybody to get in here. All right, this is gonna be my new background, y'all.
I'm like, the Southern hospitality is a real thing, though. Like, I experienced a lot, but also keep in mind, my family's from down south, so I grew up with, like, but keep in mind, mostly, like, most African Americans have direct Southern lineage, unless they came to the North through, like, the Great Migration in history, like, where a lot of Black Americans came to the North, like, but most, like, African Americans are in the North, like, we're first generation Northerns. So, my family's from Tennessee, so I grew up with Southern hospitality. So it's not to say that it's, I didn't experience Southern hospitality. I experienced it when I was around Black people. I will say that.
Yeah, same.
But I'm like, but the thing is that, yeah, they're like the South is like. Yeah, their racism is different. It's different.
It's still code switching though, right? Like where there's still different levels of code switching, where like they're protecting language to keep people that ain't them away from them, and like it's happened in the North, happened in the South. There's a lot of this like nativist, what nativist used to mean back in the day, like the first colonials were like, no, this is ours. We took it. don't invite anybody else to it. You know, and
Katie,
like,
it is. I'm like, it is, but that's the thing, Katie. Like, I'm from the Northeast, so I know. That's why I said it's covert, though. It's not as. I'm like, they're like, I'm not racist. I voted for Obama, or I have black kids, or I got like black friends.
I have black friends.
And their
Racism,
black
yeah.
friends be. And their friends be Candace Owens and Stacey Dash type. Like, so yeah, they got black friends, all right.
Yeah, they be those type of black folk.
Okay.
Oh, bad. All right.
Whereas, like, and I'm like, in the north, like in the south, like, I could tell you, like, it's not to say I haven't had that experience in the north, but like, I'm just at work, and like, and it was an older white man. So I will say that, like, I do think the age played a part, because we're talking about people who were like around during like the Jim Crow period. So it's like, bitch, of course they're racist. You're in the South. They're white, and they were born in 1948. Like, of course they're racist.
well, yeah,
Like,
and,
of course they're
California that didn't have anything to do with that shit.
I was in Texas.
Right, like California
I was
didn't
talking about.
fight, right, in the Civil War, and they got some of the most sundown towns of any place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pennsylvania has them too. Like,
Well,
it's so
Pennsylvania is
funny.
straight up Alabama in the middle.
It is. I'm from. And I'm
Sorry,
speaking
and I
that
mean
I'm
that
from,
in a polite way.
No, it is.
Yeah, it is.
I'm from Pennsylvania, but but the thing is that I grew up in a very predominantly like black part of like Pennsylvania. I'm like in a very well known, predominantly black city in Pennsylvania. Like, if I were to, I'm not gonna put all of where I'm from and everything on there, but I'm like, it's a very well known city. I'm like, I'll give y'all a clue. The city of brotherly love. That's where I'm from. If y'all know, y'all know.
We know.
Okay. Okay. So, but outside of that, right? When you go outside, like, because of my childhood, I'm not gonna get into it. But I had to move a lot, so I ended up in the Poconos, and it was an experience. So, yeah, like a lot of places in PA, like, are straight up like, I'm like, it is really bad, and. It's so funny because speaking of sundown towns, I had a cousin. I originally had applied to go to Penn State back in 2016 when I was first like going to college, like 2015, 2016. And I didn't end up going to Penn State, but my cousin did. And so I'm like a year later, like I'm talking with my cousin and stuff, and she's like, "Girl, like, we're talking. It just happened to be talking up about our experiences." She straight up is like, "Girl, like, you can't." I'm at, and I can't go like 20, 30 minutes outside of the college campus after like dark. And she's like, "Why?" Because there's a sundown town not that far from Penn State, and so the black kids will not go. I'm like, "Girl, what?" Yeah. There's a lot of sundown towns in Pennsylvania, and that you would not know because you're in a predominantly black area. You do not know how problematic Pennsylvania is, like, until you are further out in Pennsylvania. It's a weird experience.
Yeah, it's the same thing in Florida. A lot of people forget that Miami Beach used to be a sundown town. Black people were not invited to Miami Beach unless you were like a celebrity, and even then, you couldn't sleep in Miami Beach as a black celebrity. You had to sleep on the other side of the bridge. You know what I mean? And right now, you will see it right now in Overtown, Liberty City, Little Haiti, the Ghouls. All those places were red-line areas, and right now they're getting gentrified. We see that right now. They're definitely getting gentrified. But like, it's just like that's one of the things that built Miami was racism. You know?
Yeah, like it's a very weird thing. I'm like, you have probably never heard of a sundown town because you're not black people have heard of a sundown town. So those of you who don't know what a sundown town is, these are towns that were established during the Jim Crow era, all over, and they're all over the country, in the north, the south, the Midwest, they're all over, and they're essentially places where black people cannot enter after the sun goes down, because black people will literally get I can't say the word, but unalived in those towns by certain technique by trees and stuff like that. Used to be the old way, and so yeah, black people cannot go, and they still exist in 2025.
They're still around.
And in fact, one of the most infamous ones is in Alabama. It's funny that Alabama came up. And where a lot of Hallmark films are filmed. So you know them Hallmark films.
They're not as wholesome as we think.
Oh yeah, one of the places that they filmed is in a sundown town, and there was a video like a few years ago on this very app. So I'm like, hey, come to such and such town. I forget the name of the town, but the people was like, no, don't stop telling people to do that. It's a sundown fucking town. Like, no, do not tell people to come here. It's not safe for everybody. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. So some places are not safe at all. Vidor, Texas, I know, is still not safe. Bithlo, Florida, is still not safe. Ocoee used to be not safe, but a lot of us now are in Ocoee. Like, Ocoee was an all-white town until 1983. You know what I mean? Like, Ocoee used to be like that.
So basically, the last, oh no, I remember the name now. It's Colmark, Alabama, or something like
Colmark,
that.
Alabama.
It's where that's a sundown town. So if you're a black person and you're traveling to different states, like, y'all need to be careful, especially if you're down south, because you need to be, like, black people, I don't have to, like, tell y'all this, but, like, I'm still going to emphasize it, like, be careful, especially under, like, the Trump administration. You definitely do not need to be going down to, like, no.
Yeah,
like I'm like, if you have to go through there, because I know there's like a lot of black people who do trucking. Do not go in there after dark. Do not do that, because there are lots of black people, even in 2025, that have literally gone missing in these towns because the police will literally cover it up. Do not go into those towns. It is not safe. Okay. Yeah, like literally, they still exist in 2025.
Yep.
Do not play around with that.
Yeah, someone over in my YouTube chat said, I didn't know that there were sundown towns in Florida. Yep. There's about 3 of them. There's Christmas.
Yes, all over the country.
Yeah, there's Christmas, Florida.
All over the country.
Christmas, Florida, Bithlo, Florida, and well, not the villages. The villages is all just old people. But Bithlo and Christmas are definitely sundown towns. Don't go around.
I'm gonna bring you up. I'm gonna bring you up because you probably have some questions. So I'll bring you up. Hold on.
Is that RJ we're going to talk to for a second? Did anybody see the thing about the Green Book? I think we should revive it. I think it wouldn't even be that hard to, like, codify it on the internet in a way that was safe to access. I know the internet's not the best and we still need hard copies, but I do think being honest about where is safe is going to be a weird thing. We have all those like little pointy hat groups on, what's that called? It's not Neighborhood Watch. It's like one of those your neighborhood.
Yeah, the neighbor app. That.
Right. Is it the neighbor app or it's the?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like a neighborhood watch or neighbor app, something like it's something with neighbor in it, but I know exactly what app you're talking about.
Next door.
Cynthia, let me. I guess I have to go over this again. So Cynthia, a sundown town. So these were towns that were established during the Jim Crow era. And these are towns where black people, and they still exist in 2025. Black people can't enter these towns after dark, and they're all over the country, because black people will literally be unalived, and the sun, and they call it sundown towns because it happens when the sun goes down, and basically it becomes, the police and everyone involved, like, it's a free-for-all on black bodies in these towns. That's why they're called sundown towns.
Well, and there's
telling black people get out before the sun goes down. That's why they're called sundown.
There's a lot of the Green Book is just a good place to start. Get a good historical feel for it, and not much of that shit has changed. Is where for anybody who was curious, like that's where I would start.
Yeah, definitely.
And a short list of even just some really terrifying, like why are lakes named that would also be like if you just want to look at names of places that were built and buried. You were talking about Philly earlier, but like that was built by slave labor. So was New
It
York.
was, yes.
You know, and they erased it then again. So they just keep erasing it, you know, like they keep erasing people's like communities and then saying only we can live here.
Yeah, I would
You're
also.
welcome. You will actually be surprised. Like most black people know what sundown towns are, but most white or non-black people do not know what they are because they're not
taught that.
directly affected. They're not taught that because y'all are not
Directly
To
affected.
be quite frankly, you're safe in those towns, Cynthia.
Exactly.
Where black people in this country, our parents, and our families were taught how to essentially maneuver, and white supremacy and all that, especially black people who are from the South. We are basically taught to maneuver those things.
Exactly.
So, whereas, y'all don't have to worry about those things. Your children, don't have to worry about those types of things. So that's probably why you've never heard of it. But almost every black person knows what a sundown town is. I don't think I've met one that
Who
doesn't.
doesn't- who doesn't
User,
know?
Is there some? Yeah, user. I know you were.
Oh, well, just you know, a crap, bull crap.
Yeah, I know it's I know it's crap. You know, what I mean, it's horrible. You know, what I mean, but like that's the history of the United States.
I'm like, it's a history. I'm like, and it's not. I can't even say it's history because they still exist and they're it is legal in the United States. Like, I'm like, so in practice, segregation under like the 1860s is illegal, right? But in these towns, essentially, because of the history of these towns. Like, for example, I was talking about Hallmark. Alabama, where they do a lot of Hallmark movies. There's a reason why in certain Hallmark movies you see predominantly white casts, specifically because, black people cannot be in these spaces after dark because we could be harmed.
Exactly.
We could be unalive, and I have to use TikTok language, right? Because I'm not trying to give Volsies live, but essentially, if you're a black person going into a sundown town after dark, it can literally be a life or death situation.
Exactly. Give me 1 second. King Eric, you there?
Yes.
Did you want to talk to me about something that I have on the board?
Yeah, I disagree with reparations for Black Americans.
All right, great. That one I'm gonna let you down for a second, and user I'm gonna let you down for a second, and I'm gonna let you up here, K, for a moment because I know you definitely want to talk about this. I'm gonna go ahead and put some time on the clock. Give me 1 second. All right, let's go ahead and have a quick debate over reparations. You'll talk to me first, and then you'll talk to K. All right. All
Okay.
right. So we got 15 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and talk to me. Let me know why you disagree with reparations.
Okay, so I disagree with reparations for Black Americans for a number of reasons. One being that I don't think people who have never owned slaves should give money to people who have never been slaves. Two, it's a very small minority of whites whose ancestors were slave owners. There weren't really that many slave owners.
Okay, so number one, reparations would be about more than just slavery. It'd also be about the effects of slavery, like Black codes, Jim Crow, the war on drugs, and redlining, all of which were targeted towards Black people socially and economically, and all of them caused them to not gain the amount of wealth and still affects them today, such as redlining that affected home ownership amongst the Black community, which in turn affected how insurance would be ran in those communities as well, which in turn affected how
as well as the
grocery
wealth
stores,
gap.
as well as the wealth gap, and you know how grocery stores, banking, etc., and the school system would be affected in those areas. So redlining not only affected home ownership for Black Americans, but also affected even till today how their schooling system works. That'll be number one. And number two, you said even a small amount of white Americans owned slaves. irrelevant because reparations would be more about slavery, and slavery in of itself has lasting effects till this day. Like, for example, one of the best examples I can give you is that most African Americans live in the South. Why do you think that is?
Because that's where slavery was kept for
Exactly.
longer.
So the legacy of slavery has lasted all up until today. And the third thing I would say is that the United States of America, the United States government was complicit and like explicitly damaged the African American community. Reparations would be about repairing that damage. If the government is responsible for damaging something, why should they not fix it?
Because that was a really long time ago, and those people who made those
No, it wasn't.
decisions
The
aren't
war on
even.
drugs wasn't. Jim Crow was not that long ago either.
When
They're not alive. The
when
people
did
who
Jim
made
Crow
those
end?
decisions aren't alive anymore, though.
Okay, but let
It
me ask you a
doesn't
question.
matter.
Yeah,
The
that,
government was still complicit.
yeah,
That's
that's irrelevant because let me ask you a question, Eric. The first person who desegregated elementary school, how old is she today?
I don't know.
She's 67.
She's in her 60s. Ruby Bridges is in her 60s.
She's
So the
67.
people who
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay.
67. So the people who the legacy of Jim Crow is still a lot and also it's funny that we're talking about. You brought the first thing y'all brought up slavery. Slavery is not the only thing that would also be for, but but even slavery still has lasting effects. For example, there's this thing called epigenetics, right? And so the trauma that slavery endured still it's still being experienced by African Americans epigenetically. So just because they were not slaves themselves, like the modern does not mean that the history of slavery nor the effects of slavery do not affect African Americans today. So whether or not it was 200, regardless if it was happening today, is irrelevant. And also, it's not just about slavery. It's
Yeah.
also about everything that happened after slavery as well. Like Volsi named the war on drugs, the Jim Crow, black codes, redlining, and those are just a few things. There was more that has happened
Yeah.
as a
So
result of the Jim Crow era.
yeah. So and to just to wrap this around, when you say that these things happened a long time ago, and I bring you up to the fact that the first ever person to desegregate an elementary school is 67. What does that tell you? This was not that long ago.
I also like to say, blacks weren't the only ones being enslaved.
Tell me another group.
They were.
In America, yeah, in America,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In America, we're talking about America. So there was only blacks in America that were enslaved.
that's
Only
not
blacks.
true.
Okay.
White children were enslaved
Okay.
too.
Hold on. Wait.
Indentured
Pause.
servitude is not slavery.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Indentured servitude is not slavery. So there was no other slaves in America except for black people.
Yeah, but white children were enslaved too, along with black children.
They were not.
Yes, they were.
No, they were not.
No, they were not. You're capping, bro.
I'm not capping. You could-
Because you're talking about, if you're talking about the Irish and the Italians, that's indentured servitude.
That's indentured servitude. They were not slaves.
I'm not talking about Irish and Italian, really. I'm
You're
just
talking
talking
about, okay, which white children were enslaved? Talking about child labor?
Yes.
And
It's not
in
slavery.
America.
Child labor is horrible.
Different, like,
Here's the thing. I don't want to downplay this, right? Child labor is horrible. And there's a reason that we fought against it, which is why I'm a leftist, because unions are the ones who fought against it. I agree with you that child labor is horrible. It's something that should have never happened. It is not slavery.
And furthermore, I hate when y'all bring up the entire world, and we're talking about America too. All slavery is not chattel slavery. And that is a very, very particular type of slavery that happened in America, and only black people experience that in the United States. So irrelevant. Chattel slavery was only experienced by African Americans in this country.
But were Native Americans not experiencing the same thing?
No, they were not. In fact, many Native American communities actually owned slaves. The first 5 tribal nations actually owned slaves. So not true.
I mean, I mean, of course they did. Every society has owned slaves.
We're talking
And-
about in America, Native
America, we're
Americans
talking about in
owned African
Americans.
slaves, which is why like 2% of African American DNA is Native American. How do you think that happened?
I've never heard of that.
Slavery, my
Oh
friend.
yes, I'm like the average African American genome has 2%. And the rest, I'm like obviously, predominantly is African, 75 or I'm like and up. African, and depending on what part of the states, like African Americans in the South, typically can range in the 90, almost the 90 percentile range. So region also plays a role in how much African ancestry African Americans have. But why do you think that African Americans, the average has at least 15 to 25% European DNA? How did that come about? Did you think that came about consensually?
No.
Right, exactly. So when we write back around to our reasons for slavery, I said reasons for slavery, I'm sorry. Our reasons for reparations is not only because of slavery, it's also because of its effects. Because redlining and even the scar of slavery is still around today.
I'm like, Javon, hold on, let me say this. The reason that many white Americans, first of all, not all white Americans have African DNA. The ones that do, though, is because it also has to do with the Jim Crow era, because they have ancestors who passed. And if y'all know what I'm like, and that has to do again with the black codes. Do you know what passing is? It's when someone who is has a black parent or has African ancestry passes. It integrates into the white racial group, and they leave their family behind, and they literally live as white people. That is why many white Americans have because they have ancestors who passed.
Yeah, you should look up the concept of passing. And that one, no, I haven't looked at his page yet. I don't know who he is. I just invite him up to discuss. But yeah, Eric. So the reasons for reparations is for all these things. Like for example, when we look at the war on drugs, Nixon aides admitted that the reason for the war on drugs was to attack black people. You don't think if the government damaged this community, why should they not fix it? The government shouldn't be responsible for the things that they damage.
I also want to make sure before he answered that, people who passed, they were doing so to escape the persecutions that black people faced during the Jim Crow era, and to gain opportunities.
Okay.
And so it was a survival mechanism as well. So I don't want to downplay passing. It's a trauma response that many people participated in and to survive the Jim Crow era.
Hey, that one. I just saw what you're talking about. The name is 88 in his, isn't it? Hey, Eric.
Yes.
Do you believe in the 14 words?
Yes.
Yeah. Kiss my ass, you Nazi. All right,
he's
guys.
a Nazi.
Yeah, 88.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, the 88 in his name.
Of course he disagree.
Yeah, of course he would. Of course he would. He had the 88 in his name. Once y'all saw that 80 in his name, I knew exactly.
And I find it I find it ironic considering that the Jewish community has received reparations for the Holocaust.
Exactly. Wayne Witherspoon, how's it going, man? I know you're friendly, right?
Hey, what's up, beloved? How y'all doing?
All right. How's it going, bro?
Hey, Wayne.
I'm a local Philadelphian.
Hey, neighbor.
Hey, man! I wanted you to keep the ball on there.
Yeah. He was a Yahtzee. I don't like Yahtzees. You know what I mean?
I'm like Yahtzee.
They could all go on the wall.
I put education and prison reform also go under reparations also.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I forgot to.
Accurate.
That's accurate. Yeah. I just forgot to get into that part.
Back in there, please.
My bad. What that one? What you said?
Throw some land back in there.
Oh yeah. Definitely some land
A
back.
lot of shit they need to pay the bill. Like I posted for my education this last month about the reconstruction money that we promised, and that's just the bill that we never paid. And if we had just done that work and finished it, a lot of these problems would have been fixed.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean,
Just like a
if
giant portalet slash
Mhm.
monument.
yeah, if Reconstruction had just
I'm like,
happened, then we wouldn't be in this entire conversation in the first place.
And also
also, I'm like,
reparations.
I get so aggravated when you have people that will bring up, oh well, there are white people that have African DNA. When we bring up like the African Americans having European ancestry,
Mhm.
I get so aggravated because the reason that you have African DNA and and a black person with black parents has African European DNA is not for the same reason.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
the same thing. But I'm like I said, like y'all need a history lesson. Apparently, I know Black history is whitewashed in this country, and but y'all need a history lesson because if
They
a
didn't
white
even
person
listen.
has
They didn't even listen the
because if
first.
a white person has African DNA, it is because someone in their family passed. That's why.
Yeah, most likely.
Oh, back on a religious note, why I find it mind-boggling how a lot of people can't let that Bible go.
Oh boy, oh boy. Let me tell
Child,
you.
don't like, especially Black people, huh?
Especially black people. We hate everything about slavery, but love some Christianity. We
I
love
say
some
it all
damn
the
church.
time.
Oh boy,
Love
one sec.
church. And have white Jesus everywhere. Sure do.
And we also know that snakes don't have voice boxes. And we also know that no women come from men's ribs. Everybody came out the coochie or C-section. We
Mhm.
know these things. These fairy tales got to go out the window.
But I'm like, but Black people won't let them like, and to a certain extent, I can't say I have empathy because Christianity is harmful, but I understand why.
Not just
Because
Christianity, all of it.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's necessary in these days, right? But in the past, religion almost served as a way for Black people to escape the horrors of of slavery and the Jim Crow era. It was a way for Black people to form communities.
Mhm.
So I can appreciate that in forms of like history, but I don't think it's necessary in 2025, and I think it's time to do away with it.
Yeah,
I
definitely
figure
time to
that
do
we,
away with it.
I figure that we shouldn't trade one colonizer belief system for another colonizer belief system.
I don't
we all gotta
disagree.
go.
Oh, I disagree. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think that in terms of context of like African American history and how
Yes.
specifically as foundational Black Americans,
Mhm.
the reason that Black people have religion and stuff like that is because it was a form of community for descendants of enslaved people to congregate, even during the slave trade. It was a way for it was one of the days where Black people could find community with each other. And so, like I said, I appreciate that as far as history in historical context is concerned. I don't think it's necessary in modernity. And I think it's time to do away with it. Because I
Yeah.
think it's doing more harm than it does good in modern day. And I actually have argued this. I believe a lot of the misogyny and specifically the misogynoir that exists in the Black community is also tied to religion. And
Mhm.
I'm willing to debate that with anybody. But
Big
I do
time.
believe
Nah, big time.
a
Not
lot
that.
of the reason. Now and Volsa, you've seen me on Clubhouse. Remember, I used to debate that. And I've had people and I used to make Christians mad. Specifically like Black Christians, because I said the reason that that the Black community is so is so filled with like homophobia and misogyny. It ties to religion. It
Yeah.
does.
Mhm.
It ties to this colonizing religion.
It all
Only
ties to
if they're
religion.
being honest with themselves, they would agree with you if they're being honest.
Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm sorry. The great and terrible. Great. You there? Unmute yourself, please. Your time to shine. Great.
Yep.
All right, you there?
What's happening, guys? My bad. I don't know if y'all can hear me all right. I'm kid.
Yeah, we
bed,
can hear
so
you.
that was the reason I was on mute.
Yeah, we can hear you. Just give me 1 second. Do
We can
you?
hear?
Yeah, you over 18 and you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, over 18. Yeah, for sure.
All right, you disagree with something I have on the board?
Well, I disagree with a couple of things. I think probably if I had to pick out a glaring thing off top that I disagree with is abortion rights.
Disagree
I
with
personally
abortion.
don't believe that.
All right, great.
Yeah, yeah,
Give,
yeah.
give me, give me, give me 1 second. All right, that one I'm gonna let you down real quick just so we don't
we're
get
definitely
clattered.
gonna have.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna have this conversation.
And Wayne, I'm gonna let you down real quick, but I'm gonna let you back up in a few minutes. All right. I appreciate you, Wayne. I'm gonna let you back up in a few minutes, Wayne, once I'm over with. Okay. All right. So, great and terrible. You said that you disagree with abortion rights. Why is that?
Well, I don't think abortion is a right. You know, again, I
Healthcare
understand.
is a right. Do you think healthcare is a
Hold,
right?
hold on. Healthcare is one thing. Abortion is not healthcare.
No, actually,
Why do you believe
it
so?
is. It's
Well, I
it's
don't
women's
believe that
healthcare.
abortion.
Okay.
Abortion is not healthcare.
Okay.
Yes, it
Because
is. I'm like,
All right.
I'm like,
okay,
hold
all
on.
right.
Everybody pause. Everybody pause. Everybody pause. Everybody pause.
Hold
Everybody
on.
pause. All right.
Abortion.
Let's clear things up. Let's clear things up. Why do you believe that abortion is not healthcare?
Abortion is not healthcare because the choice to essentially off your kid in the womb is not a right that you have. Now, I also want to be very clear that I think that there can and should be some exceptions for things like incest and rape and things of that nature, right? But just the right to just kind of indiscriminately do it, or if we're gonna do it, there should at least be a time limit on it for sure. That's the part that I disagree with is the unfettered abortion rights. In anytime, any place, wherever, no problem. You just do it. I don't believe that that's a right. In fact, I'm certain that that's not anywhere constitutional at all. So.
Okay.
That's
Do you
what
have?
I disagree
So
with.
first of all, I'm gonna clarify a couple things. So one, it is health care because it takes an OBGYN to perform it, which falls under women's health care. So it absolutely is health care. Number two, a fetus. And cells that have the possibility to become is not the same as a human baby outside the womb.
It is.
No,
It
it's
is.
not.
It's
It is
absolutely a
not.
baby. It's
Scientifically,
absolutely a
it
life.
absolutely is
And
not.
science absolutely says that it's a baby and a
No,
life.
it's
That's a
not.
fact. It is. It
No,
is.
no,
It
it's
is
not.
absolutely a
Science does not
baby.
say that.
All right.
It is.
Everybody pause.
No,
Everybody pause.
no,
In fact,
science
Pause.
says.
Pause.
I'm like,
Pause. Pause. Everybody pause.
cells,
Everybody
if you
pause.
leave those
Every
cells
great
alone, it
pause.
becomes a
Pause.
child.
Pause. Listen to what I'm saying. Everybody pause. All right. So, like the great and terrible, we'll give you that it's a life. That does not make it a baby.
What kind of life is it then if it's not a baby?
It's just a life. That doesn't make it a
Okay,
baby.
so then in that case, we don't have the right to just take a life.
Yeah, we do. You kill
Why?
insects all the time.
What?
Insects are alive, right?
Insects cause diseases. Babies don't.
I know that, and I know that insects cause diseases. Hold on, wait. Let me just get through this. You simply saying that it's alive does nothing because it being alive does not mean that it has a right to the woman's body. The woman has a right to her own body, and her body. Hold on, let me finish.
Sorry,
I'll let you go.
ahead.
Her body is her own constitutional right, so she does have a constitutional right to not give her own bodily resources to something else. You have that right. Like if, for example, let's say that your grandma or some other family member or someone that you don't know, whoever, needs blood from you in order to survive. You can still refuse to not give blood. Why? Because you have a right to your own body. So if a woman says, this is my right to my own body and I don't want this other entity in here taking up space in my body, she has a right to expel it. That's number one. But number two, if you believe in that there needs to be time limits on it, that's already the case. I even believe in time limits. I believe that once a fetus is viable, we should prioritize an abortion that will keep the fetus alive, which does exist. So now what? An abortion is just a termination of a pregnancy. You don't have to unalive anything.
Well, I think two things. One, the first point that you made, I think, is a solid point, which is that it's your right to decide that if you want to have something used a part of your body or your bodily resources, and I agree with that. I just think that the point of when you can and should decide whether or not you want something inside you is before you lay down and allow somebody to put something inside you.
And
Irrelevant.
women do by using contraception, and that don't always work. That sometimes fail.
I mean, yeah, it does, but also still the responsibility in doing baby making acts is that a baby could come. So what I'm
No,
saying
I'm
is,
like, okay,
no,
that's
no, 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 no,
irrelevant.
no.
Consent, no, 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 because consent to
The
sex is not
reality
consent to
is
pregnancy.
the reality is that when you are engaging in sexual activity, you are in fact taking all the risk that comes along with it. Whether they
No, no,
be
no,
a
because I'm
whether
like,
they
hold
be a
on, because I'm
baby,
gonna mute you
whether they be
for
a
a second,
baby
because
or
you
an
keep on
STD
talking
or
over me.
otherwise, you're still assuming the risk by laying down.
All right, you done?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute him for a minute.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, because I'm a mod. Hold on, because
I know, mute me
I'm like,
mute me because you can't make your point
Hey,
against me. I understand.
great,
no,
great.
I'm
Well, we're
muting
gonna
you
mute
because
you
you keep
because you have to
talking
keep. You
over
can't
me.
keep on talking over people. All right, go ahead, Kay.
So number one, consent to sex is not consent to pregnancy. Those are two different things. I'm like, if you are taking the steps to prevent pregnancy and a pregnancy occurs, she should have the right to terminate said pregnancy. I'm like, again, I'm like, as we've talked about, a fetus is not the same thing as a baby, and it's disingenuous. I find it extremely disingenuous when people try to make those things. They're not the same. They're not. I'm like, number three, again, as we said, I'm like, gynecology is a form of healthcare, and abortion falls under that. So it is that healthcare.
I think
A
it's
healthcare.
dishonest to call a fetus not a baby.
Okay,
It's
what?
not. I'm like, because they're different words.
But they're not. Just like a
Vital
baby's
Just
not a.
because
they're
it's
not
a
babies.
different word to describe the same thing. I think it's dishonest to call a
But
fetus
but
not a
they're
baby.
the same
but they're not. They may be the same in colloquial language, but if we're talking like medically, they're not the same thing. Like a baby and a toddler are not the same thing. Now
But
we may call
literally,
we may
isn't
call.
fetus?
Hold on, wait, hold on, let me finish.
Sorry,
We
go
may
ahead, go ahead.
call like our 3-year-old our baby, but medically that's a toddler, right? So when we say that a fetus is not a baby, that's actually true. A fetus is not a baby. Now speaking in colloquial terms, like yeah, sure, you're saying that the fetus is a baby, but up until like 25 weeks, when it has no brain activity or it has no conscious experience, there's nothing there.
I disagree with that because I think the way that we're describing it,
medical fact.
if a toddler, by your example, if a toddler is a toddler and not an adult, the toddler isn't not a human because a toddler is a developmental stage of being a human being, as is an infant, as is an embryo, as is a fetus,
An
as
embryo
is a
is not
teenager.
a fully developed
Yeah,
human.
I didn't say it was a fully developed human. I said it was part of the stage of development of a human being. And
Yeah,
that's
but
a fact.
No, it's a part
So
of
it's
the stage
dishonest
of
to
the
call those
development
things.
of a fetus.
So it's just as dishonest to call a fetus not a human as it is to call a toddler not a
I
human.
didn't say a fetus was a human. I said it wasn't a baby.
Okay. Well, it's a human being, which means that you're taking the human being's
No,
life.
I'm like, I said it has the
But you just
potential.
all right, so
No,
let
no,
me
no.
let me clear this though. Let me
but
clear this.
you
then
did
up.
you did just say that it was indeed a human
hold on,
being,
hold on,
right?
hold on, hold on, y'all, both y'all. Let me clear. I'm clear my my position up there. Right, this is my position. You said that it's a human being. I don't think you can actually come into being until you have a conscious experience, which is at around 24 to 26 weeks. That's when you have a conscious experience. That's why I say that up until that time, I would suggest or I would believe that a woman should get an abortion that prioritizes the life of the fetus, or abortion should only happen to prioritize that life, to keep that fetus alive, which you can do. You can have that, right? Because there's a conscious experience there. That's when I believe you come into being. Before that, there is no being. There's no conscious experience. There's nothing there. There's a heartbeat, but that doesn't mean that it actually has a conscious experience. Your conscious experience that makes you a being is when the brain and the synapses and certain things in your brain form. That doesn't happen until 25 weeks. So before that, what's wrong with an abortion?
Well,
Also, I'm gonna name this. I'm gonna ask something.
Okay.
I'm like, let's say you have I'm like a family member. It doesn't have to be just put. Let's say hypothetically you have a family member and they have if they're and they're have a brain injury or whatever the situation is. Like, let's just put it out there. And they are on. A situation that has led them to be on life. Life support. They have a something that is a machine that's helping to facilitate a life, to help them to keep them alive. Is taking up them off life support murder?
Well, I mean, if they can't live on their own, I mean, if they cannot live on their own, they have a brain injury, and that's the request. I mean, by all technicality, yes. I mean, you know what I'm
I'm
saying?
like, no. I'm like, no, but we
If
do not. But
if we're
they
asking
cannot be
if we're asking if
charged
it's
with
wrong
murder.
or not, if we're asking if that's wrong or not, I think that depends on the person and the situation. But we're asking if it's
No,
taking
I'm
their
like,
life.
no, but do they have a choice to take that person off of life support? Is that wrong? Do they have a right to make a choice? Does the family have a right to make that choice? Is that murder?
That's it.
Can they be charged with murder for taking that person off of life support?
Well, I think you can't get charged with murder for abortion either. So I think that's a different question. But
No, in
you're
certain
asking me if I
cases, no.
think that.
In certain
Hold
states,
on,
you
hold on.
absolutely can.
Let me answer your question. You're asking me if I think that taking that person off of life support is still in fact murder. And my answer to that is yes. I do think that it is still the same as taking a person's life. Is it a different situation
That is
because of this?
ridiculous.
Hold on. Let me answer you. You asked me a question. I'm giving you my answer. Is it a different set of circumstances because of the situation? Yes. Right? You have a person who was injured that lived their life and was injured versus someone who didn't have an opportunity to live their life. To the point that
That's irrelevant.
but what that is relevant. You
No,
asked
it's
me what
it's
it-
irrelevant because it could be. I didn't say the
very-
age of the
can
person.
I finish my answer? Because I
I'm
did
like,
let
no,
y'all finish your
because
question.
I have a right to interject because I'm a
Can
mom.
can I finish my answer or do I?
I
Is it just
actually,
you guys that are
yeah,
allowed to talk?
no, I'm gonna let you finish, but I think I need some clarification. How exactly do you define red rum? Because guy use TikTok language apparently, but how exactly do you define murder? Great, because like the way that I would define it is the malice. I would define it with intention, basically the malice of taking a life away. That's how I would defend it. Like unjustifiably taking someone's life away with malice. Like that's how I would defend it, right? So that's how I would define it. If you would agree with that with that definition, the scenario that Kay brought up, even according to your standard, wouldn't be murder either.
Well, except that the circumstances are different, and that's the part that we agree on. Like,
No, it's not.
right,
So
that's
it wouldn't be murder. It wouldn't be murder then. And at that point, that means that abortion wouldn't be either because there's no malice there, and there's a there are plenty of
but here.
and there are I'm sorry, Kate, and there are plenty of justifiable reasons why a woman would get an abortion.
Again, so my thought on that is if let me ask you what justifiable reasons other than rape, incest, and medical, what justifiable reasons would there be to have an abortion?
I'm like,
she decides to not have a baby.
I have a right not to be pregnant.
Okay, so if
That's
you decide,
there's no other reason.
if you decide not to have a baby, isn't it a more humane
Why should I be forced to
option
have a baby?
to protect yourself and or not have sex?
And I'm like, and let's say I've done that. Why should I be forced?
How should you be
Why
forced?
should I'm like, why should my body be? Because in order for that to happen, you require my body.
Right.
Why should the government why should the government have a control over my fucking uterus?
The government doesn't control your uterus. You did when you laid down with
I'm
that
like,
man
no.
and let it shoot something
If
up in your
if
uterus.
you're taking my right to have an abortion, the government has to say over my body.
It was your right to decide not to have the baby in the first place or not to make the baby in the first place.
I'm like, but you're taking my right away.
You don't have a right to murder the baby that you made.
I'm like, no, I have a right to not have a.
Hey, great. Here's the problem. You've already agreed with my definition.
And I'm sorry I said murder. My bad. I forgot we can't talk like that.
All good. But the thing is, what I'm having an issue is that you already agreed that my definition of red rum is one that you will agree with, the unjustifiable taking of a life with malice. If that's not happening with an abortion, you can't call it red rum then.
Well, I do think I do think it's unjustifiable, and I do think that there's malice involved also when it comes to abortion. Honestly,
but the problem is that hold on, wait. The problem is that you already agreed that a woman has a right to her own body, and you already agreed with my scenario or my definition of red rum. If that's the case, if a woman has a right to her own body, that means that whatever she can do with her own body that does not harm anyone else is already justified.
That it harms the body that's inside her, and that's where I have a problem.
No,
but the body that's inside her, that which is likely an embryo, and before 24 weeks is not even a being. What's the problem?
Well, I would disagree with that. Anybody that's had a baby that's
it's a medical fact.
Hold on. I would disagree with that because anybody that's had a baby that's gone to a sonogram at 10 weeks, at 12 weeks, at 16 weeks, at 18 weeks, at 21 weeks will all tell you that is just as much of a baby at those weeks as it is at 25 weeks. So I disagree with that premise.
That's an argument. That's an argument of emotion, my friend.
It's not an argument of emotion. It is
No,
very much.
that's
literally
not
the
a
same
medical
baby.
fact.
It's literally the same baby within
It's
within
not
that
though. It's not though.
developmental process.
Hold on,
I think it's
hold on. Great. Hold on.
I think it's dehumanizing to say that
Pause.
an
Pause for me.
infant
Pause for
or
me.
a
Pause
small
for me.
baby is not a
Pause
human.
for me.
No, you're
Great. Pause for me. Pause for me, please.
interrupting Mod. When we speak, you listen.
Exactly. All right. I'm gonna let Lords go because I know Lords has a lot on this. But here's the thing. Great. The thing that why it is an argument from emotion is at the end of the day, a zygote cannot do what a 1-year-old does. Point blank. Period. A zygote cannot
Not
do
even
what
when a 1 month old.
even what a 1 month old does. Even what a newborn does.
1 month old can't do
Hold
what
on.
an
Let me
adult
finish.
does.
Let me finish.
What
Let
are
me
you
finish.
talking
Let me finish. Let me finish. A zygote and a fetus before a couple of weeks cannot do what a newborn does. So it is not a baby. Point blank. Period. Scientifically, medically, it is not a baby. The reason you're calling it that is because you have an emotional attachment to it,
Is it
which
a
is
human
fine.
life?
No, wait, listen, let me finish. Which is fine. You can have an emotional attachment to it, but saying that a zygote is a baby is an emotional argument. If you want to go off a scientific one, if you want to go off an emotional one, that's fine. I'm not even knocking it. You can go off an emotional argument. That's fine with me. But you cannot say scientifically this is a baby. You're wrong.
Is it a human life?
It's a human life. I'm not saying that it's not.
That's my point.
Hold on, wait. I'm not saying that
it's
it's not a
human
human.
life.
Oh,
It's
actually,
not
Lord
a
says.
human life.
Oh, go ahead,
because
Lord. Go ahead.
If let's say I have a miscarriage at 10 weeks, can my baby live outside of my body?
Well, I think the same thing. If you if the
No, I'm
baby's
asking.
hold
No,
on,
I'm
I
asking
got
you.
you. I'm answering your question.
No,
Let me answer your question.
no, you're not.
If you have
Because
it,
it's
I am
listen.
answering your
No,
question.
no, it's a yes or no, and then you
let
can
me answer your
explain.
let me
No,
answer your
I'm a
it's a
question.
mod.
yes.
Answer a yes or
It is
no.
Let me answer your question,
no.
and
It
then
is
you
a
can
yes
follow
or
up.
no.
Answer a yes
It
or
is.
no.
It is a yes or no, and then you can explain. If I have a miscarriage at 10 weeks, can that live outside of the host body?
It's yes or no.
You can unmute yourself now.
I'm like,
Go ahead,
I'm
great. You can
yeah.
unmute yourself now.
You can unmute.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so
And it's don't go into monologuing.
I'm just asking.
I haven't monologued one time.
No,
I
I'm
have
just
been cut off
asking.
many times though, but I haven't
Because it's
monologued
a
once.
yes or no question. I'm just
Um,
asking. Can it live outside of the host?
it's more than a yes or no question. The answer to
No,
the
it's a
direct.
yes. It's a exactly.
How about
yes or no. Can
how
it
about
live
how about you
outside
how
of
about
No,
the
y'all
I'm
let me
woman's
asking
finish
you.
the
body?
No,
answer?
Yes
listen.
or no?
How
No,
about y'all
wait
how
a
about
minute.
y'all let
Wait a
me
minute.
answer the
No,
question?
I'm asking you physically.
I'm answering your
It
question.
live
No,
outside.
I'm
Yes
Can
or
I
asking you
no.
answer
If
your
you
physically.
do
question?
not
Everybody
answer
pause.
yes or no, I'm
Everybody
gonna
pause.
remove you.
Everybody pause.
Yes
Everybody
or
pause.
Can I answer your question? This is why we don't go
Everybody
anywhere
pause.
because we can't
Everybody
answer the
pause.
question in the first
Everybody
place.
pause. Everybody pause. Everybody pause. Okay, great. Lord's asked you a direct question. If she were to have a miscarriage, unfortunately, in 10 weeks, can that miscarriage live outside of her body? Yes or no? Just say yes or no, and then say I'm going to explain. But first say yes or no.
No, and now
Okay,
let me
wait.
explain.
Wait. Please explain.
But
Now
that's
please
what you
explain.
just said. Say no and then answer and then
Okay,
explain,
cool.
right? All right. So no, of course the baby can't live outside of the womb because that's literally what a miscarriage is. My counter question to that is a miscarriage not the death or the loss of life of the baby that was in your body?
No,
And how is that any
a
different from an
miscarriage is
abortion?
a loss of a fetus.
But is a fetus not a life?
No, it's not. If it can't live
Wow, that's
outside of,
crazy.
listen, see, you're not allowing me to answer, right?
Yeah, I am.
It's not if
Okay.
it cannot survive outside of the host. If it cannot survive, first of all, a 10-week-old fetus is an inch long. It's one
So,
inch long.
so
If
it's
it
less of a human?
cannot survive, it is not a human if it can't survive outside of the host. Have you ever seen a 10 the stop what a 10-week-old fetus looks like?
Hold on. I'm like. Before you answer that, Dulcie, can you get a picture of a 10-week-old fetus and put it on the back screen, like from Google?
Sure can.
Would you be able to do that?
And while I'm doing that, his name is User 682. User 682. I'm gonna bring you up in a moment. Because we're about to go into about 20 to 30 minutes with the great, and then I'm gonna bring you up. All right, User. I think Lords had another question. Lords, did you have another question, or did Great? Did you want to respond to that?
Hold on, I just want to make sure that we get the picture up first because I want us to have clarification. I want an image to go with what she just said.
While you're looking for the image, what I wanted to say to that point is that I think I'm going to maintain what I said before. I think it's incredibly dehumanizing to consider that a child or a human being who is in the
That's not a
development stage.
child or a human being. It's a fetus.
Can I finish? Because every time I start talking in the middle of something, there's a lot of other stuff. Can I
But
finish
we're
my
going to use
statement?
medically correct language.
Can I finish my
Cells are
statement?
not human.
Is that okay, or are we just going to filibuster the whole time because we can't get your point across? All right, thank you. All I'm saying is,
Use medically correct language.
I am using medically correct language. I'm also
No,
using
you said
I'm also
child.
using very
Fetus is not a
literal
child.
language.
Use
Because
medical correct language.
a fetus is a developmental stage, as is a zygote, as is an embryo. They're all developmental stages of being a human being, as is an infant, as is a toddler, as is a teenager. All right, all of these things are developmental stages of being a human being. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, I'm in the middle of trying to explain myself, and all you're doing is cutting me off, trying to filibuster the whole conversation because you don't want to hear the actual points. This is why we can't get anywhere. I'm trying to have a conversation with you guys. Even if we disagree, that's fine. I'm trying to have a conversation with y'all, but every time I start talking, somebody starts trying to talk over me.
It's not
I'm
somebody.
like,
Don't
I
say
am a
somebody.
mod. When I speak,
I said, yeah, somebody. I don't know you guys' names. I can't say specifically who it is. Somebody's
You
talking
can't.
over me.
Oh, you're not looking at the screen.
No, I'm not looking at the screen.
It's
KK, and I'm a mod. And when
How you doing? How you doing, mod? Well, I would expect the mod to behave better than to be talking over somebody.
I'm like, no, a mod.
I would expect that.
Why do you think a
I would
mod?
expect that.
Do you think a mod is some sort of elevated position?
Well, I would
It's
think
just
somebody.
somebody that volunteers.
so here's how this gonna work.
As somebody who
I'm gonna
actually has
kick
had
you
a
if
job
you
as a
don't
moderator,
answer.
I would expect to.
Great.
If someone who
you're
has
gonna
actually
get
had a
removed.
job as a
Everybody pause.
moderator,
Everybody
I would
pause.
expect
Everybody
the
pause. Everybody pause. Everybody pause. Ah, crap. He left. All right.
No, I kicked him
Kicked
because
him?
you're not gonna keep on speaking. Here's how this works. When you come up, you listen. When I speak, or Vosi speaks, you listen. When the question is asked directly, do a monologue, you answer it directly. If I tell you to use medically correct language, that's exactly what I respect. And I'm like, and just because you want to talk shit in the comments, I'm now since you want to talk medical.
Now who's mad? Now
The thing is, a 10-week fetus is the size of a kumquat. Have you guys ever seen a kumquat?
I've seen one. Yep.
You know how big it is? You know how
They're
small that is?
Mm-hmm.
It's smaller than a lime.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot survive outside of the womb.
But yeah, I
It
still
needs
want
a
to get
host.
that image up.
Yeah, I wanted to get the image of. I was just looking for it. All right, so we have Mr. CEO down there in the comments. Mr. CEO, you want to come up or not? Or RJ, y'all want to come up or not? All right, so Mr. Bless the CEO, I went ahead and invited you up, so you can come on up whenever you can.
You can.
All right, there you are.
No, man, you know, I'm always following you, even though I don't say much, but I mean, I like listening more, and there's a lot of power when you listen because you learn more than when you talk. So I'm more like a fan of listening to you and other people talking. I feel like I learn more than if I say something. But I was just doing a quick research while he was talking, and it actually showed like a 10-month fetus. It's alive. It says most of
No,
the
I said a
organ
10.
already.
I said fetus. 10
Yeah,
weeks.
10 weeks. 10 weeks
Yeah.
fetus. They say it's alive. Some
Uh-huh.
organ already. It's not fully. That's what it says. It's
No,
not
but
fully. But it
can
shows
I'm
that it's
at my
alive.
question is, can it survive outside of the host?
Well, it cannot survive outside of the host, but even like
Mr.
4
Bells.
months or
Mr.
5 months,
Balesto.
it cannot survive outside of the host
No,
either.
that's what I'm asking. So a 10-week fetus, can it survive outside of the host? That's my only question.
No.
Mr. Hold on,
Okay,
Mr.
if it
Bless.
can't fall, if it can't survive out of the host, is it a baby?
Yes.
So
Okay.
No,
it's
that's
a
not what a
baby.
baby is.
Even if it can, even if it can't survive out of the host, it's a baby.
Babies
Yes, yes,
can
it is.
function independently outside the womb.
Yeah, babies can survive outside of the womb. So how is something that can't survive outside the womb still a baby? Let me ask y'all a question. Actually,
You know, a
before we do
baby
that,
is talking about things that are born, right?
yeah.
You
Let me.
can't, Mr. Bless. Can I get insurance on my fetus?
No.
Will an insurance company issue me insurance on my fetus?
I don't think so.
Okay. Can I in the US we can file our dependents on my tax return. Can I put my fetus on my tax return?
Nope.
Can I don't
But just
know,
before you go, can I ask you a
get a
quick question?
child tax?
Be,
Yeah.
before we get
Up
into
to
that, I'm
which
sorry,
point
y'all.
do you
Hold on,
consider
hold
a
on. Pause,
baby?
real quick, pause real quick. Before we get into that, Michael, are you there?
Yes.
All right, Michael. Do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Um, Not disagree. I wanted to pick a policy to discuss. Was we supposed to disagree with him?
No, no. You can pick a policy to discuss that. That's fine. All right, but Blessed, you want to say something else? What else you have, Blessed?
Now, what I was gonna say is, like when we talk about like situation like that, I know there are like three category, like embryo, fetus, and a baby. So I was gonna ask her, from which point do you consider it a baby?
Me? Do which point I consider it a baby?
Or you, or generally speaking, or medically
Once it's
speaking?
born. I consider it a baby once it's born.
So
Let me tell
before
you
it's born,
something.
it's not a baby.
Let me tell you why. Because when I can get all of the shit I named for you, right? If I can get all the stuff, can I get a birth certificate for the baby in my womb? No, it hasn't been born. What can I get for a baby for a fetus that I could get for a baby? What can you name one thing I could get for a fetus that I could get for a baby?
Well, I can't not, but what I do know for sure is um, there are certain stage like that human being, if I might call it like that, is called fetus, and there are another stage before he born that he calls baby. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm agree with you when you say that you have to call it a baby after he born, or he has to be born for to
No,
call it a
but
baby.
Mr. Bless, the US government doesn't consider your fetus a baby because you can't get anything for it. It can't get a social security number, right? It doesn't the US government doesn't consider it a person. And I'm in the
Yeah,
US.
but what
So
I mean to me, but also the U.S., or according to medical terminology and anything, it is called a fetus. I believe up to 10 weeks. Right after 10 weeks, it's no longer called a fetus.
but can I get anything for it? If I
I
needed to
mean,
apply for assistance for my fetus, could I?
okay, now there is an. I mean, I'm not quite too sure if you're going to agree with me on that point right now. I think the reason why you might not be able to get social security or insurance or a lot of things for that baby or that fetus, it's not because of the difference on the name or it's fetus or baby. I think it's because it's like certain norm or maybe rules or regulation according to the US government that it needs to be qualified for those things after it born,
Because it
but
needs to be
not
alive. Exactly. It needs to be
no, no,
alive.
no, 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 no. But 8 months before the baby is outside of the wombs, it's still alive. So the terminology, it needs to be alive. I'm not
Listen,
quite too sure if I want to be agree with you on that.
okay, at the end of the 10th week of pregnancy, your baby is no longer an embryo. It is a fetus.
Then it then it
Wait,
calls a
listen, let me
newborn.
finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry,
Let
I
me read it.
apologize.
At the end of the 10th week of pregnancy, your baby is no longer an embryo. It is now a fetus, the stage of development up until birth. It is not a baby until after it is born. It is not a baby until after it is born. And the government agrees because there is no kind of anything that you can get or do, right, except for medical care for the embryo, the fetus, because it is not considered a person yet.
It is okay. Okay, if I do not want to go off the topic, but if it's not a baby or it's not an infant or alive, why would they penalize people for abortion if you do that like within 6 months or 7 or 8 months if it's not a life or baby or
Can
or,
I
or
can
an
I tell
infant?
can I tell you why they penalizing people for abortion in the US?
Yes.
Because the white birth rate is falling. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Okay. Well,
It
even if
has
I want to agree with
literally
you,
let me tell you something. These people do not care if anybody other than white women abort their babies. If they could just say this law is only for white women, they would. It has nothing to do
okay.
with anything else.
Now there's a small discrepancy in what you're saying right now because even if I want to agree with your point right now, now there's a thing inside of the penalty. The terminology that they use to penalize people is that you are killing a life or you're killing a
I
baby or
know,
you
but
are killing an infant.
I am telling you
So
why.
up to this point, it is
Listen,
considered a baby.
no, but I'm telling you why in the US. They wouldn't
No, no,
care.
I understand the why. You see what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? I'm following you, and I don't disagree with what you say.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't have the proper argument to go against what you're
No, I'm
saying,
just saying
but
if it
what I'm
weren't for that, nobody would criminalize it because they wouldn't care if black women
no, no,
aborted
no.
all of their kids.
Yeah, you tell me the why, but what I'm trying to explain to you is, although this is the why they are penalizing people, but the criteria or the crime or the accusation or whatever they are using to penalize you, it's the allegation that the human being or the fetus or whatever you are killing, they call it a baby.
No,
No, no matter what is the
listen.
why,
We
but they saying you are killing a baby, an infant, a human being. So it is called a baby before born.
no, yeah, it's called a baby colloquially, but if you talk to any doctor in medical terms, it's a fetus. If you read a doctor's note on this and the ICD-9 codes that they use, it's a fetus. As a motherfucker that been pregnant 3 times, it's a fetus.
All right,
You a man, you wouldn't know.
we about to just run out of time, but I'm blessed. I thank you for being up. Give me 1 second.
Thank you, my
Howdy,
brother.
not a problem. Howdy, do you do you want to talk about a policy?
I am looking at the abolish the prison industry. I wanted some clarification on that, please.
Gotcha. But you also said something about abortions or what Lawrence was talking about in the comments, right?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Did you disagree with her?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Certainly.
Do you think that this is a baby?
Yes.
Do you think that's a human baby?
Yes.
That's a
Looks like one.
dolphin fetus, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a
Do you
dolphin
think, do you
fetus.
think that let's say it was a human, do you think that would be able to live outside of the womb, outside of the host? Would it be able to?
No.
Okay.
No,
But there
but
are people that can't survive even if they're born.
But
Should we get rid of them?
this be my point. Like when I say that this is all an emotional argument, that's a dolphin fetus. You know what I mean? So when we're talking about like these are humans and everything like that, like I don't think we be knowing what we're talking about a lot of times. You feel me? But bless, I'm gonna let you down real quick. I appreciate you being up. All right. But let's go ahead and talk more. I'm gonna let you talk with Lawrence in a second. But you did want to talk about the abolish the prison industry, right?
Yeah, I just wanted your clarification on what prison industry is, because that's one I haven't heard before.
We're talking about the system of policing and criminal justice in this country, where basically prisoners are essentially slaves for the state to make profit for corporations, and the targeting of poor youth, especially black youth, in order to put them in prison And instead of giving them rehabilitation, we carcerally punish them. That industry is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Just so I have some clarification, if they are, and I'm just saying in general, those that are incarcerated, should they be given the opportunity to work?
Yeah, when they get out of prison, they should definitely be given an opportunity to work.
Okay, so if they're in prison, they should be given the
Education
opportunity to
education and rehabilitation.
Okay, and I absolutely agree with you on that. And there's a lot of studies on that. So in regards to that, then yeah, I agree with you. I just wanted some clarification in regards to the prison industry, what you meant by that.
All right, cool. Now, Lords, you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, if it cannot survive outside of the host, right? If it cannot survive outside of the host, it's a parasite, really, because it's feeding on the host. It cannot survive outside of the host. It can't. A 10-week-old fetus, a 12-week-old fetus, right? 12,
Okay,
that's
so
3 months. It can't survive outside of the host.
okay, and I agree with you on that. My question is this, right? When is it considered, in your opinion, right? And I guess you can say from a biological standpoint, which would have a different definition than from a medical standpoint. So I think that we can agree with on that, correct? Okay. So do you take the medical definition of what a baby is, or even a human, or do you take the biological definition as to what a baby is or a human is?
I take the medical definition. As far as this is concerned, I take the medical definition, because anything else, you're just attaching your emotional whatever to it, right? You hope your baby comes out right. I had a coworker once. She was the whole 9 months pregnant. Scheduled her C-section. When she went to get her C-section, the fetus had unalived. The day they did the C-section, the fetus unalived.
Well, that wouldn't be an abortion, though.
Well, no, actually, a miscarriage is an abortion medically. A miscarriage is a spontaneous abortion.
That is
That's
correct.
all it
Yes,
is.
I agree with you on that. Yes.
Yes, it is medically. They have this medically. It's an abortion.
Yeah, which is why like all of these like restrictions on abortions, like women who have their body just miscarries,
Miscarriages, they can be in prison.
they can be in prison for that, which is
They're
why
being
I find
imprisoned in
all these
certain
laws to
states.
be kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I interrupted you,
Howdy.
Howdy.
The
Go
laws
ahead.
are rooted in misogyny.
Do you know that some states are trying to imprison women for having miscarriages?
I haven't read that, but I.
Oh no, I have.
No, I'm not saying that it's not true. I haven't read that, but I mean, if I'll take your word for it.
Right, and that's the
Actually, Volsi, I'm like, just
Yeah.
so we, I'm like, because I don't want it just to be our word. Volsi, can you get that? Could you go Google that real quick? The states that are trying to imprison women for having miscarriages and put it on the back screen.
Yeah, because the way that a lot of these laws are written, like they have to go back and fix them because of these miscarriages that happen, and then woman goes to jail for it. You see what I'm saying? So like that's when like this knee-jerk reaction to making abortions illegal. This is the type of things that fall through the cracks. You feel me? Howdy. That's the issues
And
that a lot of us
even
have
women
with it.
who want to leave the state and go to a state where they want to allow it, they want to force those women to stay in the state.
Yes,
Like for example,
some states are turning miscarriages and stillbirths into criminal cases.
on your phone?
Let me down. Was that your baby?
That was my
no.
baby. She wants
No.
to watch YouTube videos on my phone, so I
Oh,
said.
she sounds so cute. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you may have to get out of here, Howdy. Family first. Family first.
Yeah.
It
So
says
no, I
nationally
was just some
about-
clarification
I
because
just heard a little precious child. I'm like, oh.
yeah, she is very much my world. But I always find that interesting because biology and medical don't always coincide with one another. So that is a very interesting point. So I'm going to bring, because I am a professor, so I'm going to bring it up to my students.
But let me just say something to you. Women in South Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi, and Oklahoma, and several other states have faced criminal charges after a miscarriage or stillbirth.
Yeah, that's going to be from a legal standpoint, man,
like
that's
the
wild
state,
because there's nothing they can do about that.
The state is literally trying to imprison women for their bodies miscarriage. So this is rooted in misogyny. This is literally trying to control women's body, which is why I'm not giving it any type of credibility. Because here's the thing, specifically in America, America does not care about children. I'm gonna tell you why. Because y'all cared about children, y'all be caring about children and this is where I'm gonna bring up my past, honey. So Howdy and the people in the chat, I was a foster child. Me, KK. When from 7 years old until I was 19, I was a foster child that faced racism, that faced that had a lot of trauma surrounding my family, and also was heavily abused and cut up, and the state of Pennsylvania covered it up.
I'm
America
not
has never
surprised by
cared
that.
about children.
And I do agree with you on that. There's everything you're saying is absolutely correct. I mean, I've worked with children that are in the foster care, and I'm appalled by what I hear from them. One of my brothers, was in the foster care. He has been adopted by our family, and the stories that he tells me, I'm just perplexed on how it has
So
gone
Howdy,
that way for so long.
if that's the case, right? And I was a foster child too, and the foster care system hasn't gotten better. If that is the
It
case,
sure hasn't.
why do you think that people want to force women to have babies?
Right. I wish I can give you an answer to that, and unfortunately, I can't. I know that there's approximately 2 million people that want to adopt, but KK can probably agree with me on this. That is a system that totally needs to be revamped.
No,
It's
but also
completely
people
broken.
want babies. People don't
Oh
want
yeah.
7-year-olds. People want
No,
new
I was
babies.
7, honey. So I was an older child, and and not only was I dealing with everything that I'm on the foster care system, I had to feel with the feelings of feeling like I was unwanted as a child because I was older, and people didn't want older children, and they especially didn't want an older child that was dealing with emotional issues due to the traumas I experienced in the system, as well as and if we're gonna get into it, people didn't want children of color in the 2000s either, like that, black children. So let me tell you, it was a lot to go through during those times, and for me, it's recent. I'm like Howdy. Guess when I aged out of the system. I want you to guess the year.
The year that you aged out of, or like how old you were?
I want you to guess the year I left the foster care. The year I left the children and youth system. The year I was no longer a ward of the state of Pennsylvania.
I don't know Pennsylvania law. I know California law. I know it's 18, but I mean.
No. So when I left the system, it was 2015, 2016. So we're talking in recent years. I've recently, in recent decade, just left the system.
Wow.
Yeah. And how to just to add to what Lords was talking about, like the reason why, when we really analyze this, the reason why they want to force all these women to have these children is, number one, from what we can see, is just about controlling women's bodies. That's the first thing. And the second thing is someone actually put it into the comments is the labor force. They just want more people to be working in the system and to pay them as less as possible. You know what I mean? This is all has to do with, why I'm a leftist. But essentially it's all about control over women's bodies and making sure that we have people in the labor system in order to keep the profit going, essentially.
Oh
Essentially,
yeah,
that's how I
that
analyze it.
totally makes sense.
I'm like, and also I wanted to bring this nuance in. We also have a country that has a very big maternal health crisis, specifically in Black women, because of medical racism and how I'm like and how racist the medical system here is in society. And the states that have restrictions and have abortion laws. How do you think Black women are being affected by this?
Oh,
How do you think the intersectional race
discriminately.
enters into this conversation?
Oh, just discriminately. I mean, I live in a predominantly Hispanic area here in California, and one of the things that I found really fascinating is the fact that how many cesarean sections there are instead of natural births. And I'm kind of curious, and I've had a lot of my friends that have had kids, and I'm like, were you given the opportunity to have a natural birth? And they're like, no, my doctor said that I had to get a cesarean section. And when you did the research, you notice how much a doctor got paid from a cesarean section compared to a natural birth. So you see that this is a money thing at the end of the day. I wholeheartedly agree
And
with
it
you guys
is.
on that.
I'm like, but
It's a money
also,
thing.
I'm like, but I also want to get into it because there are intersections between race here, and I'm like, and just to make sure, Hispanics and ethnicity. So there are Black women who are
Oh, yeah.
Hispanic, and there are white Hispanics, and just so I'm like, so I just want to make sure that we understand. I'm talking about race, not always because this would affect Black immigrants who would be coming here as well into this system. So. So when we're bringing this up, right? When we're talking about this is tied to slavery, and this is why, ironically, the conversation around reparations and the effects of slavery. One of those effects of slavery is the medical system. So the father of gynecology, and how and how research of gynecology came to be was on enslaved Black women's bodies. So how we are able to know so much about the female reproductive system. It was there were surgeries done on enslaved Black women. Okay, and they were done without anesthesia. And they were done without anesthesia because there's this belief that Black women do not feel pain and Black people do not feel pain, but specifically in this case, Black women do not feel pain the same way that white women feel pain. Right, so it's this racist belief that is that is still in the medical system today. Even Volsi can get into this. He can bring up the stats on this. But do you know that Black babies that are born are more likely to be unalived in the care of white and non-Black caregivers than Black caregivers? There's a reason why, because again, it's racism. Medical racism is very I've even had my own experiences. For example, I'm like a couple years ago I got hit by a car. Luckily it wasn't too bad, but I got hit by a car and I went to the system. Me and a friend got hit by a car. A white girl and I'm a Black girl. We both get hit by a car. We go to the hospital. They give her all, they check all of her. I'm telling them that my head hurts and I have a bad head. And they give me like aspirin. They give her stronger pain medication, like an IV drip. Okay, and I'm bringing this up because it turned out I had a concussion and my head wasn't checked. And the reason that that she got different care was not because we had because we end up both having concussions, but because of our race, how we phenotypically present. The healthcare system thought that I had a higher pain tolerance than my friend, and that is a belief based on racism.
And also, can I say if I want to bring it back to the abortion thing, the Applied Population Lab did a study. It was actually a census data brief that they did, and they found that in 2016, white death exceeded births in 26 U.S. states. And the white birth rate has been falling, and the white death rate has been increasing since 1999. And in 2016, for the first time in U.S. history, more white people died than were born.
Wow.
And that that statistic is more white people are dying, less white people are being born. That is that's the only thing Roe versus Wade is about.
Only thing,
Because
yeah.
Because
state to
also keep
state,
in the sense that I'm like, in order to maintain the power that they have, one of the things that they want to keep is the myth of white, a white majority and white superiority. So I want to give an example of this.
but wait a
Like,
minute.
how
Let me just finish what I was saying. The
okay.
states with more deaths than births among the white population are Oklahoma, Ohio, Maryland, Vermont, Tennessee, South Carolina, Oregon, North Carolina, Michigan, New Hampshire, Mississippi, Arkansas, Arizona, Massachusetts. So this is not just the South. This is all over the country. This is
Right.
all over the country, and a decrease is occurring in populous states, California,
Oh,
Pennsylvania, Arizona.
Can
Right?
I?
I mean,
I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta go ahead and let y'all know that I gotta go ahead and get out of here, man, because it's about to be 11 o'clock and I got work tomorrow, like early in the morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I do appreciate you all coming through, and Howdy, I appreciate you being a kind guest and coming up here and speaking
Yes,
to
thank
us
you.
and learning everything. All right. But I
Oh yeah.
appreciate you all. But I do gotta get out of here. Let me just drop everyone off first. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Kay, thank you very much. Love you, Kay. Lords, thank you very much. Love you, Lords. Howdy, I appreciate you coming up. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, guys. We did get to 14K likes. Um, I think that we learned a lot in here. You guys are wonderful. I do have a link in my bio for all of the socials. Please subscribe to my YouTubes. I do have a subscription goal. I have 6 out of 10 right now. I appreciate y'all. Help me get to 10 subscribers, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep building this up. And we will also build the YouTube up, and hopefully I will be able to get a merch store real quick. And once I get that merch, we'll be out of here. But I love you all. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Y'all have a good night. See y'all next time.